I've been thinking about this for some time. I got a freaky temptation burning deep inside. You see, the script's already rolling, and the bedroom is the set. I hope you know the lines, because one take is all we get. The Pussycat Dolls. Lights, camera, action. This is modern escapism.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Oodles, the Juve Bowl of podcast hosts, and today I am joined by the editor that turns this 8-hour epic into a cohesive vision. It's Gadget.
Hello.
The leading man that breaks all hearts and the star of What Women Want, Sleepless in Seattle, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's Biggie.
Thank you, I think.
Some people call him North Yorkshire's answer to Mark Kermode, or the thinking man's film critic. It's Stig.
Hello.
And Candy isn't joining us tonight as she's building a time machine to go back to when she agreed to be on this show and say no. So again, welcome to the boy zone. But we have very special guests this week. Joining us are the effervescent and ultimately better than us hosts of the Sequelisers. We've got two of them, Chambers and Tim Maytom. Welcome to Modern Escapism.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So, before we go into chats and stuff like that, Stig would like to sell something to you all, the listeners, that is.
Yes, if you like what we do, we have a Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/Modern Escapism, you can see the 3 tiers we do on there. First up is Modern Escapees. For £5 a month, you will get an extended edition of this episode every week, at least one monthly special, and any other special that we do. Too Faff, Too Curious will be back very soon. I hear that a watch along and record is happening very soon.
Probably the best thing we've produced.
Yes.
Well, it's better than the movies.
Apart from 5. 5 is good.
No,
thank
Five
you.
is the last one
Thank
we did.
you.
It offended
5 is
me.
really good.
No,
Cut
these
him off
guys
now.
just they don't like anything. We also do a Dungeons and Dragons play podcast called Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep, and £5 a month. Scorched Sheep tier gets you ad-free early access of the episodes, as well as some artwork that Candy will draw for the show, and any other original pieces we put together, such as music, maps, character sheets, and you'll also be able to suggest item names and NPCs for Gadget to use. And £7.50, the Biggie Bundle, that gets you everything.
Oh, it does get you. And let me just say, Scorched Sheep Season 2. Whoo!
We've got 3 episodes in the can at the minute, and I'm already regretting life decisions. It's just, these idiots have clearly gotten bored of just listening to whatever I tell them to do, and they've just gone off and done their own thing.
This is what happens
Took a turn.
when you get people that don't know Dungeons and Dragons to play Dungeons and Dragons. It is not a thing I'm into. But we're going to talk about what we've been doing this week now. I'm going to start, let me mix this up. I'm going to start with Stig. What have you been doing this week, mate?
So, from last week, where I seemed to do loads of stuff, to a week where I've done one thing, this week, I watched and completed Arcane. So this is
yes, now we're
League
talking.
of Legends TV show on Netflix.
Mm.
And it's fucking brilliant.
It's so good, isn't it?
Isn't it, John?
It's so
It's
good.
way better than it has any right to be. They're like, oh, there's a League of Legends anime, but oh, fucking cash grab stuff. Yeah, sure, whatever.
It's so pretty.
Might be the best anime of last year.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a weird thing to say.
It's so good.
And I couldn't give a shit about League of Legends for the record, but like Arcane is brilliant.
We're not pro League of Legends on this show,
No,
don't worry.
I've never played it. I have no idea about any of the lore, any of the characters, and you don't need to know any of that because it is treated as something brand new, and if you don't know League of Legends, it's fine. It's perfectly accessible for you. But yeah, it centers around the characters Violet, or Vi for short, and Powder/Jinx. It's mainly their tale, with then there's a few other characters and a few political goings on as well. But I think for starters, the animation is beautiful. It looks like no other animated series I've ever watched before, but it's absolutely stunning.
It's a bit like Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, isn't it?
It's
wow.
You can really see the inspiration there.
Yeah,
that kind of 2D, 3D blend that they've kind of got going on.
So pretty.
probably the best visuals I've seen since that. I would say in a cartoon.
Cartoon.
Yeah. The animation, I think the acting is brilliant. Vi is played by Haley Steinfeld, so you know you're on good track there.
Who we love
She's
on
awesome.
this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree. We love her on ours as well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spider-Verse, voice of Spider-Gwen herself.
Exactly.
Like,
Yep.
Can't go wrong.
She gets around, doesn't she?
Amazing.
She should.
And yeah, it's well written, it's well crafted, it's really pulls some really emotional punches. 3 episodes in, you hit with some stuff, and the end of episode 3, obviously I won't go into spoilers, but it was so well done, and it got you caring about characters from the get-go. And there's a bit of a time jump in there as well, so we get something happening at one point, and then it kind of jumps forward a few years, and things have changed, characters have changed, motivations have changed, but I absolutely loved it. Every end of every episode, it just wanted me leaving more, and the way it ended as well. And I thought there was another episode coming. I thought it was 10 episodes.
I did, mate.
So it got to the end of episode 9.
It was like,
and it was like, Netflix comes up with, you finish a series, we'll suggest these for you. I was like, oh
Here's
no,
Peppa
that was...
Pig.
hey, Peppa Pig's decent.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No. It just, by the end of it, I cannot wait for season 2. And there's the action sequences in there. Like I said, the animation is so well crafted. There are little things in there that you might not notice, but if maybe on a rewatch you would. Just little things like the way the cloth moves on their clothes and hair moves and things like that. Isn't a big thing, but it's the detail and the actual craft they've put into the animation. It is just stunning.
Do we know if there's a season 2 coming?
Of course there will be.
I think it's been announced.
It's hit hard, hasn't
yeah.
it? People have been like, yes.
I think they're like highest rated, one of the highest rated shows across Rotten Tomatoes,
More of that,
IMDb,
more of
things like that.
Castlevania. I'm laughing.
It was
Castlevania's
nominated for a
done,
bunch of
so-
animation awards and stuff as well.
Did it?
Yeah,
Did you say-
it was.
You said the quality of the animation, so it seems odd that something. I know League of Legends obviously is popular for those people that are into it,
It's not just popular; it's huge.
but it seems like it's a strange thing to suddenly just drop in, but actually put so much effort into the quality or something like that.
That's exactly what I meant by it's way better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
You'd expect it to just look like some fucking trailer or something or whatever. Oh, there's some CGI bit between seasons of League of Legends, and they do a little animation-y thing in engine, and it looks mediocre. And
Yeah.
no, this is like some of the best looking animation of the last decade. You're like, oh, okay, you chose to go that hard, did you?
It's like I expected things like, remember the Ratchet and Clank movie, which was just scenes
Yes.
from the game.
Cutscenes from the game.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like that, but I watched
was-
the first episode. I was like, shit, this is real. This is something.
Was it? Yeah, but wasn't it the same? Like with Castlevania was better than it had any right to be because everyone
Oh,
knows.
100%.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
it's got Konami written on it. It's going to be shit these days.
Maybe this
Not
is
bad
where
mouth, Konami. I'm gonna buy them
Netflix
soon.
excelling, where they fall down on a lot of the movies, but the animated series that they're pumping out just seems to be
so good.
incredible. Like I said, story-wise, world building, characters, emotional weight, all that stuff is just perfect. And there are things with characters, even the bad guys, where their motivations aren't as clear as you think they would be. Can't really go into any spoilers, but there's one of the characters, Silco. He's like kind of the main protagonist throughout this, and there's stuff that he does that you just don't expect. I never expected. I thought it was just more about manipulation, but it isn't, and it's a lot deeper than it is. And I will just say again, no spoilers, but there is a fight on a bridge at one point mid-season, which is absolutely incredible. The music, the animation, everything about it is perfect. And it's like one of the best things I've seen in a long time. So yeah, Arcane, if you look at that and think, League of Legends, whatever, don't worry about it. You don't need to know the games. You don't have to have any interest in the games because outside of the name and some of the character names, doesn't matter.
I played it last week, so people don't have to.
I mean, League of Legends does have previous with doing and obviously they've got the money to burn,
Yeah.
but to doing really high quality media tie-ins
Yeah, they
because
do. Yeah.
a couple of years ago they put out a K-pop single, and it was like actually one of my songs of the year. It was really good.
Amazing.
I have never played League of Legends, so I didn't know who the characters were. But I was just like, yeah, this is a bop, you know.
Yeah.
Get my groove on.
Yeah, and I remember an article coming out when Arcane first came out, and it was like, here's all the things that you should watch. You know, now if you're done with Arcane, here's where we recommend you go and do. Please note, playing League of Legends is not one of them.
Yeah, it does not have me interested in playing the game whatsoever. But yeah, the soundtrack is really good as well. I really enjoyed the music they used for the show and the type of music. And as Jack said, they've been nominated for 9 Annie Awards, which is due to be ceremony held towards the end of February.
Yeah.
But I could see them cleaning up, to be honest.
They deserve it. It's really good. Really nice surprise as well. Excellent. Thank you for that, matey. We're going to move on to me. I've had a tough week this week. I've started no less, I've written down 10 games and 6 films, and I've stopped. I've not continued.
Mate.
I just
Have you
couldn't.
finished any of them?
No, I couldn't. I just couldn't. So I'm.
We have a word for that on our show. It's called doing a Matt.
Well, I've been doing
the third Sequelizer, who's not here, our co-host Matt. Well, basically, like, okay, we've got this topic. We'll do 3 each. You know, blah blah blah. Matt comes in with 15 honourable recommendations, honourable mentions going on, and then we'll eventually get to his top 3. We're like, you need to keep it to 3 because we already 3-hour shows, Matt. Fucking hell. Yeah. So that's what you're doing, Ariels. You're doing a Matt Sequelizers balance.
But Matt probably finishes them. I stopped these. I started like there were things I already owned and just never got round to, and the films and stuff. But I ended up just sticking with The American Office as I usually do. So I'm not going to talk about that because I've talked about that ad nauseum. There was a show on Netflix that I actually started watching today. This is hot off the presses, and I've stuck through it, and I've more or less watched them all. It's a docuseries called Midnight Asia. It's on Netflix. So it's a docuseries about Asian megacity nightlife. So all Asian cities. Stuff we don't tend to see in the West. Like we get the impression of salarymen and crowded traffic jams and stuff like that in Asian cities. This is what happens when the sun goes down, and it's basically just a fly on the wall. Each episode's a different city. Like the first one's Tokyo, then it's Seoul, then it's just other Asian cities that I can't remember. It's that good I can't remember.
Really made an impact.
But yeah, basically I didn't write it down. So, and the first one, for instance, it's got like 3 main parties we follow throughout the 30-minute documentary. We've got an 80-year-old ramen chef, a female, who at night is a superstar DJ at a hot nightclub.
Nice.
And she is what you expect an 80-year-old ramen chef to look like. She's, you know what I mean?
I don't know what an 80-year-old ramen chef super DJ looks like.
This is the thing. So she's saying on it that like, oh yeah, I do my shift because they work some hours. Those guys, I've done a really long like 15-hour shift. Then she just pulls her apron off, gets a superstar DJ set up on, gets some glitter on her cheeks, and she starts doing a full-on mean like mix, and everyone's loving it. She's in this like really fancy like very culturally appropriated nightclub. It's quite Western, do you know what I mean? And playing all the club bangers, all the floor fillers, and it's just mesmerising. And then she's like, "Yeah, I've got 3 hours sleep now. Then I've got to start work again." It's like, what the fuck? And there's also hypercar drifting, which is bigger than Tokyo drifting. So it used to be Skylines and stuff like that, didn't it? Not anymore. Not with a mega rich in Tokyo.
I say now it's going to be Lambos and shit.
It's Lamborghinis, and there's one guy. He's like, I based my car off a Star Wars pod racer, and I like to go. And he's like, I like to go around Tokyo at night when the roads are closed, and basically, I think he wasn't sure, but I think they can rent roads because they're closed at certain parts of the night. You know, some motorways and stuff like that, and mountain trails. And he's like, I go around pretending I'm Anakin, and he's in this most disgusting, like decked out Lamborghini. Look, must cost £500,000.
If he is
I need to find a picture of this.
If he is not flying around going yippee,
he does. Yeah, he does. He goes,
Now this is pod racing.
That's what he does. Yeah, and he's just and there's one bit that it follows a guy from The Trench, which is an actual bar I've visited in Tokyo. It's basically a mixology bar, and I don't know if you guys have been, but when you think of Tokyo, when I say bar, I don't mean a bar like over here. I mean, this is a tiny little closet. These are small.
They're always super tiny in Japan.
Yeah, and this guy, oh my God, he's making the best cocktails and everything. When I was there, he wasn't there, so maybe not. But it's just so cool to see this nightlife that we don't see, and I proper recommend it. There's one in Mumbai as well, which is really interesting. It's just not part of the world you see. You always see like travel, like this is the sun, and you can go to the beach and stuff like that, but you never see what they do when they're letting their hair down, especially in places like Tokyo and Seoul, where they're all corporate business workers and stuff like that. It's just so mesmerizing.
I always assumed if you walk down some streets at night in Seoul, all you can hear is the sound of mechanical keyboards.
Yeah, this is what I thought, but no, they've got strict policies in Tokyo and Seoul. Like, you can't do anything that disrupts the flow of the day. But when the night, when the sun goes down, you can do what you want. And there's skateboarding gangs and stuff like that. And you know what the Japanese can be like? They're all dressed up as characters as well as doing it. And it's just, It's so fucking cool. And there's a few more episodes I've got to get through, but I really recommend it. It's called Midnight Asia again, just to let you all know. It's proper junk food type show. It's really well done documentary, but it's imagine like your Carl Pilkington shows, but without Carl Pilkington.
Is there a host, or is it just
it's
fly on the wall type stuff?
It's more like talking heads fly on the wall. There is a woman on the first episode that seems to be an expert of Tokyo nightlife, and same with the Seoul one. There's a man and they talk about the hot spots and stuff, and how these are all secret places. I'm like, they're not secret anymore. They're going to get busy. That's going to ruin your little niche you've got. Oh, there's one guy as well that he's got a traveling bar. He's just got on like a rickshaw type thing, and he goes and he puts it on Twitter. He's like, "Where do you want me to be?" And he makes a fortune every night because he's bringing sake to everybody. It's just so cool. But yeah, I recommend Midnight Asia to everyone if you're into that kind of culture shock, because it's completely different to what we do. They ain't going to Weatherspoons on a night.
Hey, they've got hubs over there.
Yeah.
The fake English bars.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
fucking horrible.
So now we'll move on to Tim. You've been doing this week.
So Jack will know well that I'm generally about a generation behind when it comes to computer games.
Well, you called it computer games, which is correct.
Okay. Well, exactly.
Breaking the old Amiga out there. Just get going.
on my ZX Spectrum or something.
He's been playing Gallagher all week.
Yeah. But this week, actually, I've been on something fairly up to date. I've been playing Rainbow Six Extraction.
That is so current.
Nice.
That's very good.
Literally this week, isn't it?
That came out like last week, Tim. Oh my God.
Yeah, in fact, I was actually playing it a few days before it got released.
The Trending Gamer Award goes to you, Tim, this year.
I would be so pissed off if of all the sequelisers that wins Trending Gamer would be fucking Tim.
I think it'd be perfect.
Break
I'm
my heart. I'm wearing a fucking Mass Effect t-shirt. How dare you?
I'm voting for you,
Tim.
Jack. I'm putting him down.
So I've got a friend who does reviews, and because it's a multiplayer game, he wanted me to jump on with him and give it a go. So yeah, I've been playing a fair bit of that. It was pretty interesting. I haven't played any of the Rainbow Six games in about 20 years, basically.
I think Vegas 2 was my last one.
Yeah. This one is very different because it's got aliens in it. So it's booting any pretense at like real life military, realism just goes straight out the window because they're like
not your average Tom Clancy gun porn then.
Exactly. Well, there's still plenty of gun porn.
There's a lot
in
of
it.
guns, mate.
Have you not read Tom Clancy's Independence Day? Come on, it's one of his best novels.
Have you read Rainbow Six?
No.
Fuck me. 900 pages of jingoistic bullshit.
Gun porn.
Yeah, it is.
So it's been interesting. It reminded me a lot of the XCOM, like the modern XCOM games.
You have my attention.
Yeah,
but done as a first-person shooter, basically.
You've lost me.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
So yeah, it's sort of this alien invasion in various parts of the US, and you've got this, this grizzled team of operators who are all, a diverse.
And that's where the aliens do land in America.
Oh yes, yeah.
It's the only place to land.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got these various operators, and they've all got special abilities. I think it's based on Rainbow Six Siege, which was
it's following on from Siege. Yeah.
Same operators, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't know if they've introduced anyone new or if it's all going off the old stuff. And yeah, you're kind of going through these various different hot zones with various different objectives. The kind of the central, what seemed to be the central loop to me, was that if you die and you don't get extracted by your teammates or whatever during the course of the mission, the XP that character has earned is locked up, and they become a missing person that you can then rescue in future missions.
Ooh, I like
Oh, that's definitely XCOM.
Yeah, so it's kind of incentivizing you to kind of go back to that area, rescue the person you left behind, and get that XP back for them. And it also means that you're, pushed to try all the different characters and, use all their special abilities and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty neat. But I'm not particularly, I'm not great at video games in general. And B, the kind of the Twitch quick reaction shooters are not my forte. So I was leaving a lot of blokes behind, and so
there's plenty of people to get extracted. in the
there's
future.
plenty of.
You're just building future missions.
They're all
That's
stuck
how
there,
you
aren't they,
spin
going,
it
"Hell."
politically.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea what happens if you manage to get your entire team just stranded out in the
Your console
wasteland.
explodes.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing that. The other thing that I've been kind of really enjoying this week was the end of the first season of Yellowjackets.
I've heard so much about this. Candy was talking to us about it, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, explain it to me.
So the premise of it is that it's set over two kind of time periods. There's a bit set in 1996 where it's a US girls soccer team from high school that's state champions or whatever. And they're flying over from New Jersey to Seattle, and their plane goes down over the Canadian wilderness.
Ooh.
And they are stranded out there. And the other time period is 25 years later, where you've got the survivors, and you know that they were stranded there for 19 months before they were rescued.
Oh my God.
And it's basically them dealing with their kind of trauma and stuff that's being kicked up from the past and the kind of mystery of it. And essentially the first episode, so this isn't really a spoiler, first episode opens with them, it's back when they're stranded, but it's some kind of future point. It's not when they've just become stranded. Some future point, and you essentially see them going through this cannibalistic ritual where they hunt down one of the other girls, kill and eat her.
For some long pig.
Yeah, so essentially this is where they are heading. And
this is Lord of the Flies all over, isn't it?
It's Lord of the Flies. It's got bits of Lost, because obviously it's
I was gonna say it sounds very Lost.
Yeah,
Has it got the good bits of Lost?
It's got the good bits of Lost, yeah. It's actually...
literally the
How
first season.
Jesus-y does it get? And how heavy-handed? And
Do they go back to the wilderness?
I'm not
Is there
going
any
to lie.
smoke monsters?
There are... Because there is a supernatural... Well, there's maybe a supernatural element in
Oh.
There's a
Sounds like
polar
Lost,
bear.
This is Lost. Lost
there.
2.
It's basically... Maybe there's something supernatural going on, or maybe it's kind of group hysteria and the paranoia kicking in and the starvation and all that kind of stuff. And
or global experiments from scientists that don't make any sense, right, guys? The Dharma Initiative,
Yeah.
we remember.
We remember.
and then they set off an atomic bomb and they're thrown into a different universe. Yeah.
And it was all purgatory all along.
But it's got an absolutely fantastic cast. So the adult versions of the kind of the four main characters, it's Christina Ricci playing an absolute sociopathic character. She's fantastic in it.
I mean, that's her wheelhouse, that, after Wednesday
Typecasting
Addams.
that.
Melanie Linsky, and not Julianne Moore. Hang on, I'm having a brain fart.
Don't worry. We've got a crack editor.
I edit
He
full
edits on crack.
No, I edit full crack. That's
full
what
crack.
He doesn't take it, he just sells it on.
Fair enough.
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, that's who.
Juliette Lewis. She's great.
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, and and Tawny Cypress play the kind of 4 adult versions. They're all fantastic. They're all various different shades of traumatized and screwed up by the thing that has happened to them out in the forest. And it manages to get kind of mysteries going in both time periods. It's the soundtrack is fantastic. If you are kind of at all nostalgic for the 90s,
yes.
it is. The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. Even the opening sequence has this kind of Riot Girl-esque song over it that I just really want them to release as a single, or at least an expanded version of it, because it's only about 1.5 minutes long. But you've got, everything from kind of 90s hip hop to there's a big moment involving Kiss from a Rose in there.
One of the best songs of the 90s.
But
Best songs ever written.
It's
agreed.
It's like up there in terms of just like a season chunk of television. I think it's gone into my top 10 like straight away, because it's just so well acted. It's like gorgeous to look at. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Is it one and done, or are they?
No, they've got
confirmed second season.
It's got a confirmed second season, and the writers have said they have a multi-season plan. Like they know where it's going.
Unlike Lost.
Unlike Lost. There we go.
Yeah,
we have a plan. Don't worry. We know we're like Lost, but we're not Abramsing this shit. Don't worry.
Exactly. They basically said it's roughly 5 seasons they're aiming for, but they can
live
kind
with
of
5.
They can kind of adapt, and it's it's US cable season, so it's 10 episodes, and they can.
What are you
adapt
watching it on?
It's available on Now TV,
okay,
or the equivalent is Sky type stuff. It's on Sky Atlantic. Although I must say that basically I got caught up with it to about episode 8, and then I had to go to slightly less legitimate means, because I was just like, the episodes come out in America on Sunday, and then we have to wait till Thursday here, and I'm so hooked on this show that I'm not waiting.
You're not leaving Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for those amount of time. Yeah. Sometimes it is necessary to sail on the high seas.
Yes.
I wonder if it's 5 series, then whether it's going to continue to have flashbacks, because young women are going to change a lot over 5 years for flashback scenes.
I mean, it's. I think they've got a slight kind of excuse in that they'll be getting increasingly like screwed up by being stranded, and so you can kind of just throw more mud and
You did see Alfred Molina in the latest Spider-Man, didn't you?
Yes, but that I imagine that Disney and Marvel have a lot more money to de-age people.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Look at Mickey Mouse.
What?
He's definitely had work done.
Definitely. Excellent. Yellowjackets, brilliant. Let's move on to Biggie. What you been doing? Have you been doing anything?
Oh, yes, I have actually. I've had a bit of an odd week though. For those that do know me, I've had a bit of a melancholic week. So
have you listened to a lot of like Coldplay and stuff?
Yeah, I've had rock music going on.
No
this
way!
week.
I was joking.
I generally have, considering I'm a hip hop head, but reasons unknown, I picked up my playlist for rock music called Rock in Hell. And thank you very much. And I've just been listening through to that. It's a mixture of Coldplay, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, all that kind of stuff. Going through that. But whilst I was listening to it, Ben Howard came back on. And I'm a massive fan of Ben Howard. And I completely forgot that YouTube sometimes has people upload the full gigs, the concerts, because I've been listening to Spotify for so long, because I love Spotify. I just completely forgot about it, so I ended up checking out YouTube again, and there are 2 concerts of his on there. They're both filmed in France for some reason, and it was 2012 and 2014. So the first concert basically deals with his first album, and the second concert with his second album, and it's incredible. Really, really enjoyed watching him, because he's a bit of an odd character in general anyway. He's a bit moody. He's had some personal issues and fights and stuff, a bit of alcohol addiction, I believe. Just a bit of a stressful life, and he doesn't like being particularly successful, bizarrely. But when he's on stage, you can obviously see it's not a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like a massive bravado performance. It's basically him on stage with his band, playing the music with some flashing lights and stuff going on in the background. That's pretty much it. But he's so good live, man. He's just plays the records almost exactly how you almost hear them on CD, Spotify, whatever you're listening to. But yeah, it's just incredible watching him play. So good.
I was struggling to picture who he was, but then I Googled him. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, just really, really, really good. So I've been listening to, watching that, listening to my Spotify playlist. I'll put a link into Discord if anybody wants to check it out. Well, I'm sure you won't. But then...
Actually...
We've got his own.
No, I've been listening, just skimming through some of his style of music there. Sounds right up my street, to be honest.
I remember
his face. I probably do know some of his tracks.
He became
He's an
famous,
eccentric, isn't he?
Yeah, he became famous for his sort of like folky sort of rock music when he first started.
But he looks a bit punky and grungy.
But he is progressive, so each album is slightly different. And it's quite a journey going through his albums, how different
He's
they
basically
become.
the James Blunt of his time.
Yeah, but I love it. I think he's really good.
With less,
give that a listen. I'll give that a listen, actually.
You should. And then from that, talking with my best mate, M. Flem, friend of the show.
Whoa, I thought we were best mates.
No, you're just...
Colleagues.
Yeah, no.
Means to an end.
Associates.
Stalkers. And then I was talking to him, and he brought up the subject of wanting to watch a movie, which is very personal to him and to me as well, because we both lost our father. So we decided to go and sit down and watch The Father.
Oh,
mate. I know Stiggy brought this up before when he mentioned he'd seen it. So we decided to sit down together and watch it, because if we were going to end up turning into sort of blubbering messes, we'd rather do it with someone that we're comfortable with. So we sat down and watched it, and wow, just blown away by
so strong, isn't it?
The story. For those that don't know, I don't think this is really a spoiler, but it's basically from the viewpoint of Sir Anthony Hopkins' character, also known as Anthony. And it's basically following him as he is in his flat, and his family, his daughter comes to see him. He's struggling because he's older. They're trying to sort out care for him. He doesn't get on with the people that come as carers, and it's just following this journey through him as he tumbles through dementia, and it's from his viewpoint. And the production, the claustrophobic feeling of being in his flat or his daughter's flat, it just depends on what's happening. It's just incredible. But yeah, the performance from Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman's in it, Olivia Williams as well.
Yeah.
Rufus Sewell, all very good, brilliant supporting cast. But Sir Anthony Hopkins, just wow. I just cannot.
I did a cry watching this, don't worry.
I just can't speak enough about his performance. It's just incredible, all the way through, right up till the end as well. Just mesmerising. And I know he lost out to the Oscar for
No, he didn't.
Chadwick Boseman.
Sorry,
Didn't he won it?
No, sorry, I got ahead of you then. I thought you were going to say missed out for this one.
No, he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
But that was also for the right reasons as well, that Chadwick got awarded
He
that.
got posthumous one.
But I think if that hadn't happened, then I think he would have been a shoe-in for that.
What, for this?
For the
He won
Father.
for it. He won for this.
No, he won for this one, Biggie.
I thought Chadwick Boseman got it. Did he not?
No.
Chadwick Boseman got like an acknowledgement and stuff.
Posthumous one,
It's a
didn't
bit.
The in memoriam.
In
type
memoriam,
thing.
yeah.
It's a bit
I thought
contentious.
he
No.
Oh,
See,
okay.
they built that whole show around
For that.
giving Chadwick Boseman the Oscar.
Yeah.
And then
Right,
didn't.
okay.
And then people were just like, what the fuck? Like, you built this show around Chadwick and kind of used his death. And yeah, they got a bit of a backlash for it.
Yeah.
But I actually watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom last week.
Yeah,
Chadwick Boseman is incredible in that film.
It's not better than The Father.
Anthony Hopkins is better. So I think it was deserved.
No, it's fair enough then.
Regardless to what happened, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just amazing. And to think, I don't even know how old Anthony Hopkins is now. but-
85-ish, I want to say. As a guess, that's a pulled that
Hang on. Google to the rescue. 84, nearly.
84.
Yeah,
85 this year.
But,
You can always
yeah.
tell. You can tell people by like rings on a tree. Just check wrinkles on the face.
But yeah,
That's
he's
why you're
funny.
not allowed
There's
Mazda.
some comedic moments in there as well. It's brilliant. Just
I think it's incredible.
if you haven't seen it, it's on Prime. Please check it out. But on a more positive note, just to very quickly mention that I listened to the Sequelisers for the first time.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right, innit?
I really enjoyed because I talked about The Thing on the last pod.
You did.
So I was.
I mean, he does talk about it most weeks. It's his favourite film.
I mean, I do that on our show.
Officially the greatest film ever. Did we vote for that? We did, didn't we?
Yes, we did vote, but I'd rather not talk about that. Thanks very much.
Jurassic Park.
Oh, sorry, mate. Was it Jurassic Park?
Oh, seriously.
Oh, yeah, it was Jurassic Park.
What the fuck? But anyway.
Sometimes life finds a way, Gadget. Biggie, sorry.
Stop mixing us up, man!
Stop being bald.
But yeah, please, obviously, they're guests on the show, but please go and check out their pod if you haven't, for any of our listeners that haven't come across them yet, because it's brilliant, really funny. Your build up for the thing, just loved listening to that. And
wait, do you mean the thing? The thing?
The thing,
or the thing 2011 thing?
It's clobbering
or the
time.
creature the thing, or the man the thing. Swamp thing? Man thing?
Ben Grimm.
Oversized man thing? Who knows?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. And
I did actually. Go on, sorry, mate.
Your pitch for it as well was great.
Thank you, mate.
I prefer
and
it
I
as
do
well.
want to see it. I really want to see that.
I did
and
listen
they're
to
talking
your
about the remake as well, which just blows my mind. I don't know what's to think of that. But,
Why would you try and remake The Thing? It's just like...
Which thing?
I don't hate the remake. I don't hate
It's not a remake,
It's not really, it's a prequel.
Prequel, yeah.
Technically,
You know
The
what I
Thing
mean.
is the remake.
Soft reboot. Yeah, The Thing is the remake.
Yeah. So The Thing is a remake of The Thing, and The Thing is a sequel to the remake of The Thing.
Yeah. I did.
As we found on the episode, it's fucking confusing.
It is.
Pick a name for these fucking movies.
And I loved hearing the Metacritic scores as well. That blew my mind as well. I really didn't see that coming. And one of you got it pretty much spot on every time. I was really impressed.
So we do Rotten Tomatoes on the show. Sometimes we delve into Metacritic as well, but we usually stick with Rotten Tomatoes just because it's fucking mental sometimes.
I love their scores. I love their scoring
They're
conventions.
just batshit. And yeah, we always play a little game on our show where like the person who is pitching it knows the scores already, and then the other two have to try and guess it, and we kind of like go from there basically.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing. You will not believe some of the scores, and you just have the other two just lose their fucking minds. Oh god!
So I would listen to
You've definitely got me on your subscribe. So I'll be
awesome. Thanks,
catching
mate.
up with those. Thank you.
I listened to the Mortal Kombat Annihilation one this week.
Tim's magnum opus.
And just
I think you
talking
were too
about
harsh on it.
the Rotten Tomatoes scores, and I quickly looked on there. And I was looking through the reviews, and when you mentioned the review on there, because I instantly was like, that's the review they're going to mention, saying more enjoyable than the first. I was like, that man must have been on crack or something.
That was Gadget doing his editing crap.
Yeah.
The,
cocaine was really big back then.
I can't have Peter Jackson not doing Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry.
And I felt the same way, Stig. I felt the same way.
As better as that pitch was, I can't have him give up Lord of the Rings
You have to
just for a
sacrifice Lord
Mortal
of the
Kombat.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny actually listening back, because obviously you mentioned Tamura Morrison, and obviously Book of Boba Fett's just come out. So for me listening, it's quite timely. I think I would have gone with, if you remember that Mortal Kombat web series they did, and they had Michael J. White as Jax.
Oh, that was so good.
And he would have been the right age in the 90s still for that. I think he still would have been in his like mid-20s or something like that. Then, or Christopher Judge, who played Teal in Stargate.
Oh, Chris Judge is
He's
great.
been a good choice. But yeah, I just really love that. I thought actually when you were talking about who you're going to choose as your director, I was listening to it. Sam Raimi was who popped into my mind.
Make it a horror.
Yeah, like a weird horror elements, and
I can see that. Loads of spinning cameras.
Yeah, that's who I kind of imagined would do
Bruce
a good.
Campbell in there somewhere.
Would do a good 90s.
Bruce Campbell as Johnny Cage.
Yeah,
Sam Raimi's car in the background somewhere. Yeah.
I did like in that episode how you did mention like, there's a new Mortal Kombat film coming out, and
it looks good.
It looks good. It was decidedly average.
It was. Yeah, I was thoroughly disappointed.
It was still better than Annihilation, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a million times better. That's a low fucking bar, mate. Jesus.
You mentioned how you said, it looks like it's focusing on Scorpion Sub-Zero, which it did
at the beginning,
and then just did its own thing at the end. It's like, ugh.
I actually did.
Let's bring in this failed cage fighter character. Nobody gives a fuck about that.
If it doesn't
make sense.
Magical gold skin.
Oh God! Don't Tim. Don't.
I listened to your Marvel two piece that you just recently put. My God, that was some listening. I'm a big Marvel.
7.5 hours.
Yeah, big Marvel. I did it all this week. I'm a big Marvel fan, and I've never agreed harder with some of the things that were said on that episode. So hard. It's like when every time you hear people talk about Marvel, and I'm one for doing it, I was saying stuff like, "Oh, Thor 2's the worst one," but there are some merits to it. You know what I mean? It's so odd.
It's not all bad.
Yeah, when you take it away from the fact that it's a Marvel film, it's better than some normal films.
This is the thing we said, like, in the grand scheme of things, even comparing, like with like, you look at some of the other action adventure films that are out there, Marvel haven't really made a bad film.
No.
They've made less good films, but...
Yeah, like Thor 2 versus Elektra.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, let's move on swiftly to Jack.
You mentioned Ratchet and Clank earlier.
Oh, yes.
I've been playing Drift Apart because I love Ratchet and Clank, and I finally picked up a copy of Rift Apart.
I'm getting it sent to me by a friend to play.
And yeah, I kind of like absolutely love the games when I was younger, obviously playing on PS2 and all that kind of stuff. And I thought the return, the remake, the reboot, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in 2016 was absolutely incredible.
Spellbinding.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And then the piece of shit movie that accompanied it, as we said, was like looked worse than the game somehow. I don't understand. Like they took the cutscenes and then de-res them. So I don't understand.
It's like they took a layer of polish off.
Yeah, because you look at the graphics as this is a Pixar movie I can play. All the fur on Ratchet and stuff. This is amazing. It's like, how did they fuck this up? Like they made it worse for the film somehow. How does it look better in engine than it does from an animation studio? I don't know. Anyway, the sequel to that, 6 years later, and here we are in 2022. It came out last year. Clarify, 5 years later, and I saw it winning a couple of Game of Year awards and stuff from a few different places, and I've been wanting to get it for ages, and I'd finally kind of like, it was on sale, I had some credit with the store and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, I can get Ratchet and Clank for 20 quid. I'm going to do it. I'm going to treat myself. Fuck it. Like, yes, finally. And that's all I've been doing for the last few days. It's just diving back into that world and flying around to different planets and getting some absolutely ridiculous weapons. And the story is really interesting as well, like what they're actually doing with multiple dimensions and parallel universes and all this kind of stuff. And the fascinating thing is that, we've seen this a lot recently. This is kind of a big thing with Spider-Verse and with, not spoiler, but where the MCU is going and all that kind of stuff. I know you guys did a big spoiler cast already, but with Doctor Strange coming up on that, multiverse is a big thing.
It's the new hot word, isn't it? It's the new time loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 2021 was the year of the time loop. 2022 is the year of the multiverse.
Yeah. I can't wait till EastEnders picks it up.
Dirty Den's back.
Faulting on itself.
God. And what is most fascinating to me about Rift Apart is the way the rifts are incorporated into gameplay. So you kind of get this like little hook grappling shot thing that latches onto rifts in space, and you can pull yourself along to different platforms and stuff like that. So you can use it in combat to like navigate across arenas and stuff like that. But there are certain moments where you literally kind of, whether purposefully or accidentally, because timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly kind of bollocks is going on, you end up going... Thank you.
From the book of Doctor Who.
It is. You end up going through a rift, and it's all in real time. There are no loading screens.
SSDs, baby.
There's just another world around you, and you're like, wait, I'm in an asteroid in the middle of nowhere in space. And you turn around, and the door to the planet you were just on is still there, and you just walk back like nothing's happening, and just be like, I'm in two places at once. This is absolutely insane. There are no loading screens. There is no like delay to it at all. You are just from quote unquote one level to another, but they are like huge open map kind of things.
Thinking back to old games like Resident Evil that had to do rooms.
Yeah. That fucking door animation in Resident Evil 1. And then that moment when one of the Crimson Heads gets you as you're going through the door. Oh, God.
The rifts in Rift Apart as well is when you pull yourself towards one, I like the animation, the fact that it doesn't pull you towards it like a grappling hook, for example. It kind of pulls that door towards you and you go through it, and
the world shifts around you, not the other way around.
Exactly. I really like that. I thought it looked great, and the gunplay in it is really good fun.
Did you do the same thing I did when I first booted up, Jack, where you've got the opening cutscene and it's kind of like showing you kind of across this kind of huge parade scene, the camera swings around, you've got like dialogue between Ratchet and Clank, and then the camera stops behind him, and did you just wait a second think, oh shit, I can actually play now?
Yeah.
Because there's no transition from the cutscene to the gameplay.
It's so good looking.
And it's so detailed. Like it's like I got it with my PS5, so it was like the first thing I played on it.
Same.
Oh,
And it was oh yeah, this is how you do it. And then I haven't finished it yet. It's one of those games I kind of dip in and out of, but it is just it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played.
Yeah, it really felt like a showcase of the PS5's capabilities. As you rightly said, there it was like SSD, baby. We can do what we like. No loading screens. We can go wherever.
Can you believe there were naysayers of SSDs? Idiots.
I'm very much enjoying this no loading screen life we have as gamers these days.
Good.
Yeah.
It's so
I watched a video on YouTube about this a couple of weeks ago. It was talking about how like hint screens don't exist anymore because loading screens don't exist.
no lock screens or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And they're having to like reconfigure how you do that and how you convey that information because now you're not sat there going like, oh, there is a place on that map. I guess I could go over there. That's interesting. And then it goes like, you can fast travel if you go to a campsite. Like, oh, I didn't know I could go fast. I thought I had to go to a hotel to fast travel. I can't do it at a campsite. Blah blah blah.
That background
There's no,
for
like,
The
extra
Witcher 3,
information.
I sat through that so many times.
There you go.
So long. The original load screen on that was so long.
That's why I'm
Like,
waiting for
I
the
am not going to
PS5
die.
remake.
Some games made you like. It's not just punishment that you're dying and restart. It's punishment that you've got to wait 2 minutes to reload.
Yeah, the respawn time always catches me off guard. I feel I got used to it earlier today, but for the first couple of days of playing, I was like, oh, I'm dead. I'll sit around like, oh shit, I should be playing like 30 seconds ago. Like it is 4 seconds and you drop out of a little rift and you're back again. It's absolutely ridiculous.
If you're lucky enough to own a PS5, get it then by the sound.
Can I ask
for
you
sure.
a quick question? What you think? Because you split the game is between Ratchet and Rivet. And the only criticism I had was that they were exactly the same, except one was a female version, one was a male version.
Yeah,
it wasn't like she had different powers or different abilities.
That's what
Yeah.
reviewers have said.
And I thought that was a misstep because they could have changed it up depending on who you played as.
I assumed exactly what you're saying, where you would get different powers and different, like you'd unlock one half of the skill tree and one half of the skill tree for each character, right? And like there are two equivalents of Clank without spoilers. Again, you meet another version of Clank later on and stuff. Like you would think they have different powers, and they kind of do, but not really. But then if you unlock a gun as Ratchet and then you play as Rivet, it is just automatically unlocked. And nobody says anything.
Immersion
There's
breaking.
no, like, yeah, well, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the fact that
2
I
out
was
of
just,
10.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, ruined the game for
Yeah.
me. 2 out of 10. But like all the previews and stuff of the guns have Ratchet as the person shooting the gun.
Even if you're the other one.
Even if you're Rivet, and Rivet doesn't say anything about that, even though she doesn't know Ratchet exists yet when you're playing as her at the beginning of the game. There's just another Lombax that she doesn't know exists and should be a massive fucking deal, because when she finds out, it's a massive fucking deal. And then she's just like, would you like to buy the gun? It's like, are you not going to comment on the like? Because the little preview things are really funny.
Yeah.
You have Mr. Zircon from the previous games is now Ms. Zircon or Zerky, who is running the shop. You have Zerky, who is actual Mr. Zircon, who runs like a hippie bar. He's like a pacifist. It's brilliant. And then there's Zircon Jr., who runs the combat arena.
It's nice to see that the family's still thriving.
Exactly. Miss Zircon is like, oh, you want to buy this gun, sugar? Come and buy these big guns.
Oh, she's
It's like,
sassy. I like her.
She is. She's southern and sassy as hell. But then you play the preview and she's like, are you going to buy the gun? It's not like, hey, who's that? Why is that happening? What's this? And if you buy ammo for one, it kind of carries over to the other. I get that it's kind of
It's gamified, isn't it?
parallel universe kind of things. Like, you know, if you affect one timeline, you affect both. Like Back to the Future style, like you're raising your kids if you do a certain thing. But like, I guess it's just to get around the fact that, you know, I ran out of ammo with one character, now I'm fucked kind of thing.
Is that not anything to do with like difficulty? Is it different on harder difficulties, do you know? Or anything like that?
No, as far as I know, no. I
Oversight,
look at the difficulty settings, and it's just like more enemies, harder, fewer ammo, that kind of stuff.
I think we're going to have to shut Insomniac down.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, no,
You can bin that.
game is incredible.
Spider-Man 2, get in the bin. Wolverine game, get in the bin. Don't need either of those. But yeah, apart from that weird little moment, and now I'm completely over that. That was like 2 days ago, and now they've interacted, so it's less of a thing. It's fucking amazing and gorgeous and just an absolute spectacle.
Yep.
And I kind of forgot how much I enjoy like just flying around, like how much of a space opera science fiction epic it is.
Yeah.
Because I always think of it as like, oh, it's a cool shooting game and there's some fun little bits, and it's like, and then it just goes, here you go, here's a spaceship, where do you want to go? And
Yeah,
I'm
even
like,
the first one did
yeah.
that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't kind of refreshed myself, and I completely forgotten just how kind of open the space flying is, and you're just like, do you want to go to this mining planet, or do you want to go to the space casino? I'm like, it's fucking space casino, there we go.
Put it
Every
all
time.
on black.
Yeah, and you just can do whatever you want, and you can choose to play at Ratchet and Rivet at different missions and stuff, depending on where you're flying
That's
to.
badass.
It's so cool, and it like transitions so well between the two of them, and kind of blending their story together.
I can't wait to smash that then next week when I get it. Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Gadget, finally.
So my week's been a little bit of a week of just starting a few things and just kind of enjoying some stuff. But it's all stuff we've talked about, so I'll just kind of run through the list quickly. So nearly finished with my current reread of Dune because it's great. And I reread...
It's a good book, isn't it?
It is. I reread
It's
the
great.
first half of the book ahead of seeing the film because I knew kind of roughly where
it's
it
going
would
to
end.
stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember walking into the cinema and being like, it's going to end with this bit. And my mate who hadn't read the book, I was like, no, trust me. And then my other friend who had read the book was like, yeah, it's going to be that scene, isn't it? It's like, yeah.
It's the perfect place to end it.
It is though.
Yeah, narratively, it totally
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fairly obvious thing. But the guy, the three of us who hadn't seen it, was very confused why we were so convinced to be like, well, it's going to be the fight, right? And like, what do you mean by the fight? It's like, you'll know what we mean by the fight. It's the fight. It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
The thing is that catches me out every time I reread Dune, I've reread it a few times now, is that after that point, so when you get to the point that Dune Part 2 will cover, it's a really fucking weird book.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
so-
get weirder, mate. Have you read Messiah
I've read
or
them
anything,
all.
or Children of Dune? Oh, fucking hell.
I've read them all. I've also read a couple of the Brian Herbert ones, which we do not speak of.
I've
No,
read them
we
as
do not.
well.
Fucking hell.
They're
There's
dreadful.
it goes off on some weird fucking places.
I
that
know
saga.
somewhere
Honest to
it goes,
God.
and I've not read them yet. I've only read the first two. Well,
It's
listened to them.
mesmerising how weird it falls off.
It's the Dune trilogy, the Frank Herbert ones.
Yeah.
They are perfectly weird because they are just so strange, but they seem to be consistent within their own
Coherent,
logic.
aren't they?
Yeah, sort of. But yeah, kind of the some of the points like you get in the second half, especially around kind of Jessica's daughter, is just I'm fascinated to see how Denis Villeneuve's going to do Alia. I really want to see how he does it because it's going to be surreal. I mean, it's surreal to read. But yeah, aside from that, I had a bit of a kind of a binge yesterday on gaming, just trying to pull up some things just to see what I can be inspired to play. So start with Death's Door. Really like it. I'm about
Nice, isn't it?
I've been playing that on Game Pass recently as well.
Yeah, well,
it's
it's on Game Pass. That's the
Yeah.
inspiration for it. I'm about 2 hours into it. Really enjoying the puzzles. The crew is
Same
cute
here.
as fuck. The bosses are. I got killed by a Baroque castle. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, me too. Yeah. A big like steampunk castle thing that's slamming down on you. Yeah.
But it also does things that like really kind of twist with my expectations. Like there was one kind of, he's not really a boss, like a sub boss kind of one, which was a really bulky kind of Black Knight looking thing with a huge mace. Now me seeing that thinks back to Dark Souls and thinks of the one that's in the parish.
Slap its butt.
Big heavy guy. No, this guy's really fucking fast.
Is it the one outside the mansion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very fucking fast. And it threw me for a loop. It's like, oh shit, I have to actually learn how to play this game. I can't just Dark Souls it.
We can't.
So is that tried the PS5 version of Metro Exodus.
It's proper good, isn't it?
It's really good. Problem is, I'm shit at it because I'm a keyboard and mouse player for first-person shooters.
Remember when I
no.
talked about it on the show of a month and I'd play through it? I've never cried at a first-person shooter. But that game made me cry.
Oh,
and the
Metro Exodus is
DLC's
fucking brilliant.
incredible.
Yeah.
Sam's Story, I think it's called. That is so... Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
It's making me want to read the sequel books. I've read Metro 2033, which is a hard fucking read because it's a really bad translation.
Yeah.
But 2034 and 2035 are better translations, so I
It'd
want
be
to read
quicker
them.
for you and better for you to learn Russian.
It actually would have been. Yeah, it would have been really bad translations. I started Death Stranding Director's Cut. We've talked about that far too much, but it's fucking gorgeous and it's beautiful,
It is, isn't
and
it?
I love it so much. Also, considering that I played so much of it when it was out on the PS4, going back to the beginning as a brand new game, I actually kind of realized why a lot of people dropped off it because those first 5 or 6 hours are slow.
You're not playing it,
Slow
are you?
as fuck, mate.
Yeah, it's
Put the
but
pad down.
it's not even the cutscenes bit. It's like basically until you get to like kind of the
Central knot.
No, not even central north. I think it's basically when you get to the wind farm. After that, it speeds up, but the whole bit getting to the wind farm is so slow. And
because you start off with zero equipment,
nothing. Yeah,
you literally have to
You've got
walk,
a spare
and you
pair
have
of boots,
no
haven't you?
options.
That's all you've got.
You can't climb. You can't do any of the cool little spike things that let you climb down stuff, or the ladders or anything. It's just like you have one ladder and an extra pair of boots. You're on your way, Sam.
Yeah. So I can see why people fell off it. Actually, I appreciate people's opinions on it more, but it's still incredible. I still love that game.
Can I just mention the bit where you had to carry the corpse up
the beginning,
the hill, which I realised you didn't have
to. You have to carry your adoptive mother's corpse.
Yeah, but wow, that took a few knocks.
Yep.
Did you drop her off a cliff?
Not quite, but yeah, I certainly tried climbing some areas that I shouldn't have done. That didn't go quite to plan.
It's just that game. It just has the moments where you've just had a BT encounter or something like that, and then low raw just starts coming in the background, or some
low raw
really good, and you just think, and your heart rate slows down, and then you get to a safe haven, you get to one of the centers, and you're just like, I'm actually just going to sit and get a shower and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's I don't know how he does it. It's like Denis Villeneuve's Death Stranding when you look at half of it. Do you know what I mean? It's so beautiful.
Yeah,
and I don't know how they can capture this in a game. The PS5 version is.
It doesn't help the accusations of Kojima being a frustrated film director.
You can tell. Give that guy a film and just see how he fails so hard and comes back to games.
Oh, God.
I mean, it'll have Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen in it, so you know.
I don't think he realises he can't make an 8-hour film.
I think if anyone could, it would be him.
Oh, he would, wouldn't he?
Do a Von Trier and just make an 8-hour film.
Yeah. But the main one I'm going to talk about was something I've done today because I'm doing homework for the thing I'm doing with Sequelisers next weekend, which is the live show.
They've given you homework already?
They give me homework because I had to watch
you suggested the homework, mate. This is all on you.
Well, no, I suggested the director and didn't realise that I had to watch some films that I'd never seen before.
Come on.
So on their live stream we're talking about we're doing it's a whittle down of the best films of Denis Villeneuve to work out which was the best one. Yeah.
Speaking of which.
So I'm going through the films of his I haven't seen. I've seen most of his films. The ones I hadn't seen were his French films and Sicario I haven't seen.
Sicario's so good.
Sicario's fucking awesome, dude.
It's going to get watched this week. So
don't get me started on Gadget's films he's not seen yet.
But Gadget doesn't like Fast and Furious 5, so he might not like Sicario. I'm joking, it's nothing like that.
They're two sides of the same coin in many ways.
Yeah. So Denis Villeneuve's French films are weird.
Yeah.
He's
a weird dude.
I watched two of them today. I watched Maelstrom, which I didn't enjoy. But the one I want to talk about is the weirder, strange enough, the weirder of the two. And I've got reason for this, which is August 32nd on Earth, which was his debut film. And I'm sure it was made for about a $5. It's obviously it's still got very studenty vibes about it. But it's such a small film. Like the plot description on LinkedIn on Wikipedia is 3 lines.
Wow!
So in the aftermath of a highway mishap, read car crash, photo model Simone decides that conceiving a baby with her best friend Philippe is the only way to give her vacant life some meaning. Philippe reluctantly agrees with the proviso that they conceive in a desert.
As you do.
All sounds very French so far.
It's everywhere.
So
Sacré bleu.
So they're based in Montreal, and so she then agrees to this proviso, and they immediately book a flight to Salt Lake City to go to the salt pans in Utah.
The salt flats.
Yeah. At which point they're left behind by a merciless taxi driver who's trying to gouge them out of several $100s, and then they just have to get home, and that's the kind of the run of the film. It's weird. It's weird by it's weird by like a 90s indie romantic drama weird.
Is there no sandworms in this or anything like
that? No, it's disappointing.
It's a tiny one.
It's a little sandworm.
Villeneuve's direction on it is incredible. There's so much of the stuff that you see like in his later films, like the kind of way he plays with scale, the way he plays with color. There's this really wonderful shot when they're in the desert where Simone and Philippe they're kind of sat awkwardly, sat down kind of chatting awkwardly because it's like the taxi driver's left them. It's just like, well, this is, you wanted to be in a desert, let's have sex kind of chat.
It's the only place to have sex.
You know the one, you know that chat.
Yeah, everyone's had that. But they're just sat there really awkwardly because obviously they're best friends. They're more like brother and sister than anything. Not actually, but it's like they have just that kind of relationship.
Yeah, platonic relationship.
Yeah, and there's this really wonderful shot, and it's so well composed of the two of them sat quite about 2.5 feet away from each other. And the way it's shot in the frame with like the desert going back behind them is just beautiful. Like, it's really well put together film. Story's absolute fucking bobbins. It's so bad, the story. And I'm not going to spoil the ending for it, but I hated the ending with every fibre of my being. Because it takes a turn, and I'm not going to say what that turn is, but it's a fucking sound. This is when they're back in Canada. There's nothing sandy about
Canada. Come on. Spoiler alerts for June.
Yeah. It's a very 90s film and a very studenty film. It's weird.
I hated the ending to Arrival. I know it's not it was his story, but I didn't like Arrival either.
I wasn't massive on Arrival, to be honest.
Yeah. I liked Arrival.
August 32nd on Earth isn't his story either. He didn't write it, he just directed it.
Yeah. Seems to be a trend
Have
of
you
his,
seen Enemy?
Yes, I've seen Enemy.
Oh, okay. That's weird as fuck.
We're learning something about Denis Villeneuve here.
Weird
as fuck.
Yeah, very weird. I mean, fucking Maelstrom. Oh, Jesus Christ, Maelstrom was just... that was a hard watch because it made no fucking sense.
Like any of his films.
Well, I mean, for starters, that film's narrated by a mutant fish that's being butchered repeatedly.
What?
Yep.
I need to watch this film.
I'm going to watch these. I've got them all on my watch list.
And that is actually written by Villeneuve as well.
Oh, wow.
That was produced by the guy who wrote 2 Days in August, right?
Right. Okay.
I believe so.
I can see why you want to do Dune then.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of the hints of why he wanted to do it, but it's like when he's not constrained by like Hollywood execs and like trying to.
And unlike Hayden Christensen, he likes sand.
He does like sand. He enjoys sand. I've seen at least 4 of his films that involve the desert in some way, shape, or form.
The French desert. Anyway, we're going to move swiftly on from that to our main topic. Unless anyone wants a drink or anything like that, I'll stretch the legs.
No,
So,
I'm all right.
skip that bit
We're
out.
used to long recording sessions, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. I don't think you moved on your Marvel ones, did you?
That was a 6 hours.
Oh, God, something like that.
Got to be done. Anyway, we're going to move on to our main topic now. Biggie, what are we talking about this week?
Well, thanks to these pricks that have come on this week.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Oh, I really like your 10 minutes ago. I really like your podcast, guys. New subscriber, bunch of pricks, but you know.
Biggie's an intern, don't worry.
But no, as usual, we always ask our guests to sort of bring the topic with them. And I think they kind of stumped us a little bit because they've come up with who is our favourite director that's had 5 films or less. And it's not been easy. It's a great topic.
Well, easy.
It's a great topic. And on the week where one of the biggest buyouts in video game history happened, we're going to talk about films instead.
You're welcome. Yeah. Oh, I would have loved to have brought that as the subject, but that seems like that's just in the news, right? Like
It's too on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit too on the nose.
Basically, it's these directors that have done 5 or less. And it's left an impact. It could be a negative impact. And I was looking for a while, and I thought to myself, I'd be a little clever boy. I was like, George Lucas, but he's done 6.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
There's so many of those ones that you think are a borderline case. It's kind of why. So we were talking about this, like, what the fuck are we going to do for the subject? Like, Jack will probably want to talk about video games. Matt will want to talk about films. Tim probably wants to talk about X-Men comics. Like, we're going in 3 different directions here. Like, what the fuck are we going to do? And we thought, what is something we don't get a chance to talk about on our show and on the live stream? So the live stream is a tricky one because, as you know, we're going to have Gadget on this weekend to talk about the top 8 films, basically, of Denis Villeneuve. And it has to be 8 because we have a little tournament bracket thing. At least 8 as a minimum.
Yeah.
We've done 16, we've done bigger ones. It's all big fucking, all the maths and stuff. But when you get to 5 or fewer, you're kind of stuck with like,
it's hard, isn't it?
How do you do a tournament bracket of like 5 films? We'll do like an hour-long live stream, and that's not what we aim to do. So it's like, we're probably not going to be able to talk about many of these films and many of these directors on our show. So
we'll
here
do
we
it
are,
for you.
yeah, throwing it to you guys and causing you trouble, basically. Being called a bunch of pricks. So yeah, there you go.
that was not the views of Modern Escapism as an entity. So yeah, I'm going to start because this is the only one I could have done really, because it's the only one I've seen every single film and it's lasted an impact. And if don't worry, guys, if we've all picked similar ones or the same one.
I've got a huge list, mate. Don't worry.
Oh, that's fine then. I'm going to go with Robert Eggers.
Oh, nice.
I'm jumping straight in there. If you don't know Robert Eggers, listeners, you will in a second. I mean, the first one, The Telltale Heart, the short film he did, I didn't really like that short film. It's all right.
We're not including short films in the 5, by the way. It's feature-length films.
That's perfect.
That's fine.
I've not much to say about that anyway. So, in 2015, I believe, something happened. We was set to have a movie night. A film I saw, The Witch. Spelled very strangely.
The Vivitch.
The Vivitch, yes. And I said to my wife, I said, let's watch The Vivitch. And she's like, okay. We started watching it. She's 10, 15 minutes in. I can't watch this. I don't understand what they're saying. So she left.
She's American. She should understand what they're saying.
Well, they weren't speaking.
I know
American.
they weren't. It's all
like
the oldie English.
Puritanical oldie.
Yeah.
Well, it's oldie American, which is also oldie English.
Yes, which got me
we
straight
were
away.
one and the same back in the day, but now I'm
She was like, I'm leaving. I was like, go. Because the atmosphere straight away hit me. So I was like, this, and I'm like, hang on, is that Finchy from The Office? And it is Finchy from The Office.
It is.
I was like, oh my God, I'm watching this.
Yeah.
And
I love the end of the film where he throws a shoe over the hut.
It turns out now it is probably my favourite supernatural horror film ever made.
Wow.
It just did something to me. I was a new father at that time as well, and there's horrible things that happen to babies and stuff.
There certainly is. Fucking hell.
And I have an irrational fear of farmyard animals. I don't like cows. And there's a goat in the called Black
We
Phillip.
have laughed at this before as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but Black Phillip is metal as fuck.
It's definitely Slipknot metal, but it's also terrifying because goats are the spawn of Satan. If you look, have you ever
They've
seen
got the devil's
goat?
eyes.
Yeah,
They've got
yeah.
evil eyes.
They are the horrendous creatures. And I don't know, it just hit on a level that I was saying to my friends, you've got to watch The Witch. You've got to watch The Witch. It's so scary. They were like, yeah, I watched it. It's fine. I'm like, you didn't absorb The Witch. It's one of those that I was just trying to, do you know when you're trying to evangelize something, like, absorb it, just take it into you. And I was like, this is never going to be topped. And then another film came out, The Lighthouse.
So good.
Now, The Lighthouse is probably the best Lovecraftian film ever made. Because it is pure Lovecraft.
Because there's a lot of shit ones.
Oh, God, there is.
I think they're all shit ones.
Yeah.
Basically, in a nutshell.
Some of them starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Oh, God. In a nutshell,
like
it's
the
Batman
coloured
versus the
space.
Green Goblin.
Or Outer Space, whatever it's called.
If you don't know what
Colour
it is.
Purple.
Colour Purple.
That's a very different film.
Thomas Howard and Thomas Wake are long-term shift workers at a lighthouse, which is, I'm not sure if it's an island or an archipelago or anything like that. I can't tell. It's a lighthouse.
Again, it's old-timey New England
ye old
stuff, isn't it?
Ye old stuff. And the first thing I noticed when you put this on, I didn't go to cinema to see this. I watched it on, I rented it, I believe. And it's like, oh, the aspect ratio's gone crazy on my telly. So I'm fiddling. No, that's not my telly. Then I did a quick Google. Oh, this is deliberate. Okay, fair enough.
It's like Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was used to preserve the original vision of the director.
Yeah, exactly.
Except this one actually makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Not
And
Justice League.
it's that beautiful black and white that I love. Well, it's not really black and white. It's different shades.
It's like hyper high contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stunning. Again, Eggers just throwing that atmosphere straight away. I don't know how he does it.
I'm so glad you used the word atmosphere, mate, because I think what connects the two of them, as different as they are, obviously kind of like psychological kind of elements there, obviously, but atmosphere is the thing I think of when you talk about Eggers and you talk about how claustrophobic the lighthouse is and how intimidating and dark the witch
And it is the third
stuff.
character in the film, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just the setting and the scenery and the atmosphere around them and just the lack of light or the absence of air and stuff like that is just a palpable thing in those movies that I think he does better than anyone else at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, there is a warning. There is a mermaid vagina in this film. You've just got
Warning.
a warning.
Reason to go and watch you.
people with nervous dispositions. But yeah, it's just I don't know what it is. I think I've spoken to Stig about it. It's just he's one of the only people I know that adores it.
It's incredible. I
As
loved
much as
it.
as much as I did, and I think it's flawless in its execution.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say it's too long. I was like, it's ended. No, it just captures that Lovecraftian, like people going mad due to themselves. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't like it that it goes supernatural," and I'm like, I don't think it is supernatural.
See, that's the whole thing with Lovecraft, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole point of the
madness.
Lovecraftian stuff, and I think the people kind of get caught up in the big monsters and the cosmic horror of it all, and it's got to be Cthulhu and Il Shoggoth and all this kind of stuff. Like the actual, like, does any of that exist? Is the real
insanity,
question,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about insanity. If you've ever played the Call of Cthulhu RPG, the D&D kind of thing, you have an insanity score. You can not die, but go insane instead, and your character goes off, and you lose control of your character, and you essentially die. But it's an insanity thing. And I think the fact that the Lighthouse captures that kind of tension and that kind of vibe.
Like, he's literally wanking on a lighthouse.
What's more Lovecraftian than that?
Well, they're both films about isolation in a lot of ways, and being separated off from humanity and what that does to you. And
it really is.
I wouldn't know what isolation feels like, Tim. It's 2022. I have no idea.
Know.
Yeah,
none of us know.
Yeah, surprisingly timely.
It's just, there's something about that. Everything he does now, I'm going to be there. Like, the Northman's coming.
The fucking Northman. We shared the trailer in our Discord the other week, and everybody just lost their mind. We were just like, yes!
It just looks incredible. I mean, the cast, if you don't know, Alexander Skarsgård. Mwah. We've got Anya Taylor-Joy again, Nicole Kidman, Willem Dafoe, Ethan Hawke, Finchy from The Office, Halfor Bjornsson, who's the mountain in Game of Thrones, and Bjork.
Yeah.
How can this fail?
Bjork is in it. What?
How can this fail? This is going to be atmosphere central.
So good.
There's going to be a lot more dialogue than what his films tend to have.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe
Looks
not.
like
Maybe
there's
not.
a lot more action, though.
Yeah.
Oh, his
I
films
just
are like
hope
just
if he
steeping
lands
in
this-
mythology, though, aren't they? That's what all of them. Like,
If he
including this.
lands this, he is literally the one to watch from now until forever. Because it's going to be a perfect little trilogy, that, isn't it? Of just
Matt,
fucked up atmospheric films.
Matt, our third sequelizer, who's a filmmaker and has made many short films and web series and stuff like that, he's kind of so frustrated with Eggers because he's like, this is exactly the sort of stuff that I would be making if I was just working with like a bit more of a budget.
You did it first.
How dare you?
And then, like, every time, you know, like the trailer for The Northman came out, and it was just like Matt just kind of shaking his fist at the sky, going like, "Eggers, you've done it again."
He does seem like a decent bloke as well.
Yeah.
He's not too outspoken. He's not Scorsese, let's just say. Do you know what I mean? He's not kicking off at modern things. He seems to have a love for the past.
He's not Ridley Scotting it.
He's not Ridley Scott, and he's got a love for the past, but he's bringing it to modern eyes, and he knows he is. And like I said, beat him on atmosphere, I dare you. I don't think you can. I know this. I've only got 2 films, and Northman could be Bobbins, but it's not going to be.
Yeah, I can't be there, can I?
I mean, in the trailer, we've got Skarsgård with his top off.
What more do you need?
Win. But yeah, that's what I'm bringing. Unless we've got anything more to say on Eggers before we move on.
It's a fucking brilliant choice, mate. That's what I've got to say.
Excellent.
I can't believe I missed the Vitch.
The Vitch.
When it first came out, it was just one of those things I kept seeing popping up as recommended, and then just I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, yes, I will watch it then. And then,
And you were like, whoa!
Yeah.
I had the same experience with The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
I kept, both Matt and Tim were just like, you need to watch the fucking Lighthouse. And like, knowing I'm a big like Lovecraftian horror guy as well, they were like, you need to fucking watch The Lighthouse,
they didn't
Jack.
want to
like,
spoil it to you.
I'll do it at some point. It's like, no, it's full of farts and masturbation, Jack. Go and watch it. I'm like, I mean...
Why'd you spill your beans?
Your goddamn farts.
I did a double bill when I went to see the cinema to see The Lighthouse at the cinema. I saw that and Parasite on the same day, and that was just a good day at the cinema.
Yeah, you went through some
that.
popcorn. That's really good. So let's move on then. We'll move on to, I want to know what Big is bringing to this table.
It's a difficult one for me because I have kind of spoken about him quite a few times, but I'm going with Ari Aster. And he has actually only done 2 films, i.e. main films so far, and a third is imminent. And I've spoken wax lyrical so much about Hereditary, but I rewatched Midsummer last night, and it's the second time I've watched it, and I've enjoyed it twice as much because for those that don't know, it's a folk horror thriller kind of. It's a very psychological movie again. It kind of follows very briefly about a character called Danny, who, due to family tragedy, she's lost her way. She's trying to deal with the grief of what's happened. Ends up joining her boyfriend and their friends as they go on to a trip to Sweden, to a commune. As one of the group comes from there, and he says that they're celebrating an event, a festival that comes around once every 90 years. And then it gets all sort of Wicker Man-y kind of this solstice. It's a very strange, unsettling movie. Very slow. Not a lot happens for a lot of time, and then all of a sudden there's these little bits of horrific moments throughout the movie. And the performance again for Florence Pugh's fantastic. She really carries that movie. She has to go through a massive range of emotions and does it very, very well. But I'm a massive fan of Ari Aster so far. Hereditary is fantastic. This is incredible. I'm not sure what to make of his next one because there's very little known about it. At this point, they're saying it's like a 4-hour comedy horror about an entrepreneur throughout their life so far, and that's about it. That's all they've said, covering decades of this character, but that's all we know. But yeah, he's one to watch, and I've really enjoyed what he's delivered so far. And Midsommar is fantastic. The foreshadowing throughout that movie, when you watch it a second time, is brilliant because it's very easy to miss certain things as you watch it the first time. You're just trying to take in what on earth is going on, and you watch it a second time, you're like, oh my god, yeah, look.
Oh, I love
brilliant.
films and shows and stuff that reward rewatching.
Yes.
Because I'm typically not a person who does much rewatching. I try to watch new stuff because I want to keep up to date, or like I'm rewatching the same thing over and over again. I feel like I'm almost feel guilty, like I'm not. Oh, I should have seen that thing that Matt recommended or Tim recommended to me. Like I said, I've been putting off the Lighthouse for years at that point, and like I'm watching other stuff that I'd seen before. Like right now, I need to focus. And Midsommar's one I've actually gone to a couple of times.
Better Call Saul, I've been putting that off. So I'll watch The Office instead. It's like
perfect example. Rewatch The American Office for the 15th time, all the way through all like 8 billion seasons of it, rather than sitting down and watching one new film for an hour and a half. It's like, exactly. And I try and kind of force myself to go out and watch new stuff. And Midsommar was one of those things where I was like, I feel like I should rewatch that because there was a conversation. I can't remember if it was with friends or I was at work or something like that. Somebody said, "Oh, I really didn't get on with Midsommar," and I was like, right, I get that it's kind of weird and traumatizing, and that's kind of the point. Like, I could totally understand why it's not for some people, but they were saying it was a bad film, and I was like, hold on a minute.
No.
It's pretty objectively well made, well acted, like looks amazing, like it's a well constructed movie.
Yes.
If you don't like it, we always say this on the show, there's a difference between liking something or disliking something and it being good or bad. They are two different things. And like, if you think Midsommar is a badly made film, then I don't think you understand filmmaking.
Yeah, totally
I don't claim to understand filmmaking myself. I'm by far the least educated of the three of us on Sequelisers in that matter. But like, Midsommar is pretty unusual and pretty special. Like, yeah.
I mean, the cinematography again is fantastic, like you say.
Exactly.
It's beautifully shot. There are certain scenes that obviously need to be the way they look, and it's brilliant. There's basically this whole story of the movie is revealed right at the beginning. The tapestry that opens the film shows you the beginning to the end of what's actually going to happen in the movie, and then little things are just dropped in as you rewatch it the second time. And I was just like, yeah, amazing, absolutely, very, very clever.
I feel like Hereditary.
To see what he does next.
Yeah, I feel like Hereditary's got a lot of that same attention to detail, where there's so many hints, kind of just at the edges of stuff that, you know, if once you've seen it and you go back through, there's all these little kind of implications and things that you can pick up on. And I think he's got an amazing eye for detail, and I think he does a fascinating, just kind of the fact that they're these two horror films that, for the most part, like, everything's happening in fairly like well lit areas.
Yes.
Midsommar, especially, it's so bright, but it's still horrific, and that takes a real skill.
It reminds me when I first watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like, this is really well lit for a horror film.
Yeah, I mean, with Hereditary, again, it's the performance of the actors. The weird thing about Hereditary as well for me is that I've seen a lot of unsettling movies, but something about that movie stuck with me for quite a few days afterwards. It's one of those things that I kept thinking about, and I actually rewatched it a couple of days later because I just wanted to just take it in again. And Midsommar, I've had a massive gap between watching it the first time and then because of the subject you brought up this week, and I thought, I'm going to go back and rewatch that. And it just blew me away again. And
worth it, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've seen it twice.
Totally. And I'm fascinated to see what he comes up with next. I don't know if a 4-hour movie is the right way to do it, or is that just something he's teasing he's doing? Who knows?
He doesn't make short films. They're all like 2.5 hours up, Yeah. And I say that.
I wouldn't be surprised if this goes north of 3 hours.
Yeah.
Well, he's saying 4. He's saying it's a 4.
I know, but that might get cut down.
I think so.
You try and make a 4-hour movie, good luck.
Yeah, they do film 4 hours. They ain't using it all.
Exactly, yeah.
But one to watch, definitely.
Excellent. Good pick. Let's move on to Jack.
I have a bunch of picks, but I'm going to settle on one in particular. And I had a lot of things going through, thinking about what, like you said, there are a couple of people who have two, like your 2 examples so far.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I'll go for somebody that actually does have a few more things, and only recently kind of occurred to me that they come under this category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Martin McDonagh.
Fuck you, that was my pick.
You're welcome.
You've got time to think of someone else.
Oh, you can talk about it together.
Only kidding. You can talk together.
We'll share it, Gadget. We'll share it, because I also love Denis Villeneuve, and we'll talk about that on Saturday. So, we can bond over a shared love of directors.
Yes. We do have a Patreon segment where we can talk about more as well.
There you go. I've got a whole list of people on my doc here. So, we'll run through a few other ones for you lovely patrons. But having kind of I absolutely fell in love with In Bruges back in the day. I think it is a fucking masterpiece.
It is.
One of my most quoted movies, and always kind of I absolutely adore.
Leave my fucking
bell tower
kids out
scene.
with
The bell
this.
tower scene.
The bell tower scene. Fucking hell.
I wouldn't go up there.
with the Gleasons, as we call them.
Yes.
And then not really aware, that was the director of In Bruges, whatever. Didn't really think about it. And then I saw Seven Psychopaths years and years later. And it kind of been a mixed kind of recommendation. Some people said it's really good. Some people say, I didn't really click with it. Didn't really vibe with it. I really, really like Seven Psychopaths. I really gelled with it.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I really, really gelled with that movie. And again, didn't think anything of it. Love Sam Rockwell, love Colin Farrell, but wasn't paying attention to who the director was. And then I know Matt definitely recognized, I think you did as well, Tim, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
After it won all of the awards and that kind of stuff a few years ago. Again, both of my fellow sequelizers you need to watch 3 Billboards, Jack.
I think it's an important film to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really great.
A moment in cinema kind of thing. And oddly enough, a few of these directors I have on the list have these kind of big moments. And that's kind of why we did this topic of there are so many people that have only done a few films, but they're winning Oscars and changing the culture of filmmaking and changing how different people and different levels of representation that's been happening across cinema and stuff is happening. And I looked up, I was like, man, where do I know Martin McDonagh from? Where do I recognize? Oh, shit, it's the In Bruges guy. Wait, he did 7 Psychopaths. Oh my God. I like all of his movies. This is, and I was like, all right, I need to watch this right now. And I think
that means you do purely love his work if you didn't know it was him.
Exactly. Yeah. I had this revelatory moment of
you're not fangirling.
This guy makes all the best movies. Oh my God. And 3 Billboards, as you rightly said, Oodles, is just this absolute moment in cinema that is just fantastic. Frances McDormand is one of the best actors alive. I'll say that right now.
I'd agree that. Yeah,
I'd say so.
I thought it was going to be controversial, as I always do on Sequelisers. I've got a really hot take, guys. I'm going to really throw it out. Frances McDormand, one of the best actors alive. And he goes,
you're the first one that's ever said that.
Obviously, Jack. Yeah, every fucker has said that. Critics have been saying that. They've said it on Modern Escapism already. Fucking keep up, mate. But yeah, I think McDonagh has not made a bad film so far. Those 3 are absolutely spectacular and deserve watching.
I think what pushes him forward more as well is because obviously his history is as a playwright rather than as a film director.
You can see it.
And he's got such a handle on dialogue and not just. And it's not like that Quentin Tarantino verbal masturbation kind of dialogue where it's just exposition and cool shit for the sake of it. But everything is so perfectly pitched and placed the comedy is so sharp, the drama is so heavy. And even just the concepts, like I love the concept of In Bruges, of it's just two hitmen who are just fucking bumming around in Bruges.
They're not very good hitmen.
Yeah, they're not very good hitmen. They're just trying to lay low in Bruges.
I need to go watch that again, actually, because I remember it fondly.
It's such a special film.
Ray Fiennes in that is just astonishing.
Magnifique.
Yeah.
I think it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think it's the scene where they're in the boat, and they're just sat there going, "It's a bit shit, Bruges, isn't it?"
I mean, I have been to Bruges and it is dull. It's very dull. But...
And also the fact he keeps casting Brendan Gleeson and things. Always happy to see him more.
Always.
Brendan Gleeson is so good.
Because his next film that he's got coming up has got Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson again.
Certainly has. Yeah, The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah,
which looks to be even more Irish than... Because you've also got Barry Keoghan in there as well. Yeah. So it's like all the like hot Irish people that are happening at the moment, and Kerry Condon in there as well. So it's like just chuck all the fantastic Irish actors in one film, get Martin McDonagh to direct it, and sign me the fuck up. Like,
yeah, just
the thing is with the Irish understand comedy and misery at the same time. They're really good at that. And it works.
There's the balance of the Irish there. That's all you need.
Excellent.
But yeah, I think those three movies are something truly, truly special. I know this is kind of going to be the topic of the whole thing. It's like, go and watch these fantastic movies, because we don't get to do that much on Sequelisers, so it's nice to actually talk about really good films with really good directors. I think more people definitely need to see Seven Psychopaths, because loads of people seen In Bruges, loads of people seen Three Billboards, but Seven Psychopaths seems to be just kind of dropped in the middle, because some people, give it middling reviews. It's just like,
fuck them.
A lot of people. I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's a film you have to get." It's like, no, it's not a film you have to get. It's a slightly weird film. It's really funny. It's got Sam Rockwell firing on all psychotic cylinders.
I adore everything Sam Rockwell's in. He's a treasure.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell can play crazy.
Iron Man 2. He's the best thing in Iron Man 2.
I
talk about it in one of our MCU episodes.
Yeah, he's the best
Sam
thing
Rockwell
in it.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I was going to move on to you, Gadget, now, but now I'm puzzled.
I have had another thought. I thought of another one, and not one that you would expect.
Oh my God. We can't have porn directors, by the way.
They make way more than 5.
Unless they made 3 feature length, I'll be impressed.
Yeah. So
only suit the first 3 minutes.
There we go.
So the director I'm going to bring up has only done 4 films.
Oh,
4 films? 1, 2, 3. Yes, mostly known for TV and video game direction.
Ooh, interesting.
Hideo Kojima?
No, not Hideo Kojima. No. Although I'm pushing it with this one because he's got 2 films announced but not made yet.
Oh, that doesn't count. That's fine. That's
fine. I'm pushing it, but he's been a very prolific creator since.
I'm worried now.
1990. Since the mid-90s, actually.
Who on earth are you talking about?
You're going to fucking hate me when I say this, but I'm talking about Trey Parker.
What?
The man behind South Park and the voice of Cartman.
Clever. And he has done 2 films.
No, he's done 4. So the first film he did was in 1993, Alfred Packer the Musical.
Did it? Oh, Basketball as well.
No, he starred in Basketball. He didn't direct it.
Right.
1997, he did Orgasmo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That left an impact.
Rocket! And then he did the absolute classics that are South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and Team America World Police.
South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, probably the best musical ever written.
Potentially, yeah.
We did an episode on musicals for part of our last interseason section, and Matt actually picked Cannibal the musical, his first film as his musical, not because it's a good film, because it's not, but because there's a commentary on it where it's just Trey Parker and a bunch of his mates getting drunk and watching it, and just taking the piss out of themselves, and he's like, that's worth watching.
Yeah.
But mostly bringing it because Orgasmo's a load of shite. But for South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and Team America World Police, because I think as knowing spoofs at kind of the turn of the century, because it was 1999 for South Park and 2004 for Team America, both presented in really unusual terms. Like if someone had come to you in like the late 90s and says, "Oh, South Park's going to make a musical and it's going to have some really banging fucking songs in it." like really highly polished, well-produced songs.
Blame Canada's a banger.
I was literally about to bring that one up. 23 years later, it's still stuck in me fucking head.
Yeah.
And Cal's Mum's a Bitch is something I just regularly sing to myself because it's really funny. And
your
I
friend
really
I
enjoy the
posted
melodies.
that into our WhatsApp group with that.
Yeah, you did.
Today, actually.
You did.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun kind of pastiche on the way culture kind of demonizes things and the way the world kind of reacts in strange ways to the slightest of offenses. You know, the idea that the kids see an R-rated film which has a lot of swear words.
They didn't
in it.
swear before then, did they?
And they didn't swear before that. And then they come out and swear, and then all of a sudden South Park and America are at war with Canada.
Yeah.
And it's all part of Saddam Hussein's plan to bring himself back from hell.
Because he's in sexual relationships with Satan, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
And he goes, "Why you always make love to me from behind?" It's so funny.
Hey, relax, guy.
It's so good, but
It's so surreal. But then you take that surreal concept, even by South Park standards, and they've done some surreal shit, even since. And then you move that onto Team America World Police,
Thunderbirds.
which is the only film, probably one of the only comedies I've ever seen where I saw it in the cinema with a full cinema, in fact. And at one moment, every single person was nearly having asthma attacks of laughing, which
It's not
was the
sex
sex
scene.
scene. It was the sex scene.
Have you seen the uncut version?
Yes.
I've seen the
Yeah.
uncut
With the
version.
Cleveland steamers
no
and
one
everything.
needs to see the uncut version.
Oh, it's so rotten. It's marionettes giving it some.
I mean, even the other biggest laugh from that one was just when America Fuck Yeah starts playing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it comes out of nowhere.
I like just like, what are you going to do? Get me in this car and make me suck your dick? No, I've got a mission. Now suck my dick.
Yeah.
I saw
but
that hungover in the
not wise.
in the Philippines after a stag night, and
That sounds like
I was in the hotel room with technically my brother-in-law, and he had a collection of DVDs, and we didn't know what to watch. We were so hanging, and we both looked at this and
you
thought,
watched that?
no idea what it was. It said obviously from the makers of South Park. So we thought,
Oh, okay.
we'll put that on for a giggle, obviously. And oh my god, I was holding my sides whilst trying not to throw up.
I think it's
So
cleverly,
funny.
cleverly and deliberately problematic because it's
Absolutely.
taking that problematic and owning it. If you get, it's really hard to explain what they're doing. They're doing it deliberately.
If you bear in mind the time that it was made, so it came out in 2004.
Yeah.
We were two and a bit years into the kind of Middle Eastern wars following kind of September 11th attacks, and it was at that point where the kind of the patriotic jingoism had kind of died down, and people were starting to be critical of the American government and how they were handling the war and what they were doing over there. And there's the idea, because America has always been the world's police. There you go. You get that opening scene of terrorists in Paris, and they just destroy the fucking Louvre and the
Damn, I missed.
yeah, and the Eiffel Tower, and it's like, bonjour, we have protected you from the terrorists, and like the entire square is destroyed.
It's so
It's so
bad.
clever,
And the Kim
it's so
Jong-il
funny.
stuff is so bad.
Oh, he's so ornery.
It's so bad. It's terrible. It's proper terrible by today's standards. But
Oh, it's Kim Jong-il. Fuck that guy.
it's
Again, hot take there, Steve. Jeez, dial it down, mate.
I know.
I'm trying to not be too political.
No, we don't. But like seriously,
He's retired now anyway, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm happy
from
for
life.
people to take the piss out of him.
It's a clever film, and I think it's deliberately that way. If you
But
get
yeah,
me.
it's deliberately clever. You can't be
deliberately
accidentally clever.
Accidentally very
offensive.
clever, Tim.
It's weird. I'm trying to explain something about
Yeah,
being sensitive.
It's what they do. It's what South Park has done for 20
very satirical.
20 odd years
Yeah.
now. It's
Yeah.
And they're
continues
just so
to do.
good at it.
That
Yeah,
the secret signal in the Jeep as well.
Waving around.
If you get into trouble, wave your arms, and then they look at him. They're like, "Oh, that one in the back, he's going crazy."
It's a terrorist disguise that I like.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, yeah. When he goes under the knife and everything, and he's just got things stuck onto his face.
I think
And they're like, oh, my God.
I need to watch that.
Let's
again
hear your
now.
terrorist language. Dirka, jihad.
Oh, God. Do you know one of my
It's
favourite
so
jokes
bad.
in it is just normal and crude and just it's not anything clever. It's just when he's throwing up and it just continues
Yeah.
to come, continues to throw up.
That GIF is just gross, man. That keeps getting used all the time.
But you see, this is why it's so impactful, because we can all pick out from every frame of that film something that we find funny, something ridiculous. The fucking the lead character looking sad, going around American monuments with a song in the background going "Freedom isn't free," or when they get attacked and he says, "I'm sorry, that was bad intelligence," and he turns to the computer, acronym intelligence. That very bad intelligence. I'm sorry.
I love the moment
the fights as well.
towards the climax when I think it's Kim Jong-il is like, unleash the panthers, and it's just like a pair of black kittens.
And they start
Really
tearing
clever.
them apart, don't they?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, or even just the gag of the Matt Damon thing where they cast the model badly, so they just changed all his dialogue.
Wasn't that Matt Damon that voiced Matt Damon? Is that
No,
no,
Marker.
it's them. It basically, it came out of the oven and looked really stupid and simple, and they just
So they just left it?
Yeah, we're just going to make him just say
didn't
Matt
cast it.
Damon over and over again, rather than
That's so funny.
he's meant to be more Goodwill Hunting style. They said
Yeah.
like
Oh,
thoughtful and poetic and stuff, and then they just went, "No, he
Good
looks
at
really
maths.
stupid." So.
Matt Damon has had to live with that for 18 years. People shout,
Yeah.
Matt Damon!
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
streets.
Poor guy.
I think one
Poor rich
dodgily
man.
cast model transformed that man's life for the next 15 years.
Just like Craig David and Kez.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
it is,
God.
yeah. Which he did say he was going to take some legal action on that one, didn't he? Or Craig David. So
Yeah. But yeah.
Rewind.
Yeah, I love Trey Parker, and to be fair, I love South Park in general. Like the TV show is generally, it's one of the few that's been for like 20-something years.
It's unrelenting.
Pretty consistently good.
24 seasons, something like that.
Something
Like,
like
only behind The Simpsons, pretty much.
But it's better than The Simpsons because it's consistent.
Well, it's
The
consistent.
Simpsons-
It's consistent,
yeah.
but also the way they make it now, because it's all done on computers. They have like 6 episodes a season where they do a current events episode.
It's
Yeah.
They
movies
can
now.
make an episode in a week.
Yeah.
which is
It's
ridiculous.
like to animate something that fast is madness. It
Yeah,
reminds me
it's
of the thing in The Simpsons where Homer's got the job.
It's
He's
Poochie.
Poochie, and he's like, "Oh, do they do the episodes live?" It's like, no, very very few animated shows are made live. It's terrible strain on the animators' wrists.
Yeah.
I do still need to see the South Park pandemic specials.
Oh,
they're
the
good.
follow up, and all the NFT stuff is just.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I still love South Park.
So we will move on to Tim now.
So I am sliding in under the wire with this one because my
Oh,
director's
the last minute.
6th film is coming out later this year.
You
Ooh,
lucky man.
Sneaky, Tim,
Yeah.
sneaky.
We'll have to get VAR on that one.
I think I'm all right. I don't think it's coming out till like the autumn, so you know.
Oh, we'll let you off.
So I have picked Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
yeah.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, to some people. Like obviously did Star Wars.
Thanks, Tim.
When everyone says Star Wars, I laugh as well.
But I prefer to focus on his like earlier films because I was very lucky where I heard the buzz on Brick when it first came out and got to see it in the cinema. And instantly knew this was a filmmaker who I was like, I've got to keep an eye on this guy because Brick is such an amazing film from the kind of the ground up, and just like as a statement of intent of just like, yeah, I'm going to come out and I'm going to make a film noir, but it's going to be in a high school, and it's not going to be a parody. It's going to be completely done straight, and it's going to work really, really well. So he did that in 2005. The Brothers Bloom, which I think is probably his least seen film,
I've seen it, but it's not my favourite.
It's probably one of my favourite films. I remember.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Like we said earlier, like favourite doesn't necessarily mean best, but
True.
it's quite kind of gets into a bit of kind of metatextual sort of commentary on the process of storytelling. People who haven't seen it, it's Mark Ruffalo and Adrian Brody as a pair of brothers who are kind of con men, and they are trying to. Rachel Weisz is in it, and she plays this kind of wealthy heiress who, for a long while, thought she was allergic to a bunch of stuff, and so has basically lived as a recluse, but is incredibly wealthy and has got really good a bunch of different hobbies. So she has she's amazing at various different skills, but she has no idea of like the world at large. And it's basically them trying to con her out of her fortune, but then, sort of falling in love with her and various other twists on the tale.
She's Rachel Weisz.
Because she's Rachel Weisz, yeah. Completely understandable. But it gets really interesting because they sort of talk a lot about, and Mark Ruffalo's character is sort of this, he's almost like a film director in the way he sets up the cons have this like thematic resonance, and he phrases the way he talks to people to remind them of like their ex-wife or something, so that when they get to a certain point in the con, their emotions kick in. It's a really fascinating film. Very stylized again, like Brick. And then went on to do Looper, which kind of was his like, obviously Brick got a lot of attention, but I think Looper was kind of his breakout for a lot of people. It's certainly
I unashamedly love Looper.
Yeah,
I think it's incredible.
It's one of those films where I watched it and I really liked it at the time, but I was kind of a little bit like, oh, this is the kind of structure of it is not what I was expecting. And then I went back maybe a couple of years later and rewatched it, and I was like, oh no, actually this is brilliant.
I do like how they try and convince you that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a young Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I mean that
prosthetic choice is bold.
Yes,
in that movie.
Really bold.
Yeah.
Sometimes it kind of works, and other times it's
because they make him scowl like
Yeah,
At least they
Yeah.
tried. There's so many times where you see like younger versions of characters like that looks nothing like something.
But
Like
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's so much better looking.
I
than
still
Bruce
look like
Willis.
I still look like I did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like in the same kind of similar facial features.
Yeah.
You don't, in films, characters' faces and bodies and everything just change.
Yeah.
So
They did something with his
I
eyebrows.
appreciate
didn't
that they try to at least make him look like Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a hilarious moment where there's like a bit where they're doing the kind of jump through time as he ages into Bruce Willis, and it's like Bruce Willis but with a terrible wig on that's meant to like be young Joseph Gordon-Levitt's hair. Thankfully, it's only on screen for about a second, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Looper, just kind of such a fascinating, like the kind of the world building that he did in that kind of strange, okay, there's time travel, but it sort of drives the plot, but also kind of doesn't in certain ways. And there's like weird telekinesis going on, and just such a kind of.
And Paul Dano.
Yeah, the always great Paul Dano.
I need to go back and watch that again, actually.
Oh, it's so good. It's worth it, mate.
Yeah. And obviously then Last Jedi, which
which camp do you fall in?
I'm very pro Last Jedi.
Yeah. I like it as well.
Yeah.
But it's still Star Wars, and Star Wars makes me laugh.
There's terrible things in that film, but I think what he was trying to do, which is ironic, because earlier this week I saw someone moaning about the fact that Kathleen Kennedy and all Star Wars and Disney now and everything, they're just like, oh, everything's just the same and everything. It's like, well, you had a director who tried to push the series.
Yeah, it's the most unique Star Wars.
In a separate, in a different way, and you all complained about that. So what do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want things to be the same?
One of the most
or do you
toxic fandoms
or do you want
in the world.
They just want lightsabers, don't they? That's all they want.
Well, no, I mean, it's been long said, Star Wars fans don't deserve Star Wars.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like, there's
They are
plenty
the
in The
worst.
Last Jedi that's shit. But in terms of what he tried to set up in the universe and push things along,
It's so different, isn't it?
and then what we got was Rise of Skywalker, which was fucking bullshit.
I also think the weaker parts of Last Jedi would have been looked on more favourably had they been continued and finished off
100%.
in a proper third film that followed the story properly.
Somehow
rather than
Palpatine
retconning it
returned.
and, like,
Fuck off.
Just like Lost, we can blame J.J. Abrams once
we
again
can blame him for a lot of
for
things.
not finishing a fucking story.
Yeah.
And then just being like, here you go, hand it off to someone else, and they do something different and they get backlash for it. Well, fuck you, Abrams.
See, I like The Force Awakens. It's basically
I
the first
really
Star
like
Wars
Force
film
Awakens.
over again.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams is great at starting things. He's terrible at finishing
He
them.
never finished anything. Yeah.
The fact that they went into that trilogy with no idea, where they were going and no plan is just so. I can't understand that mentality of like
Well, given they just spent $4 billion on the franchise as well,
and it's just like, we're just gonna kind of bum fuzzle our way through it. Like, obviously, we're gonna give it to talented people and also Colin Trevorrow, but you know,
that hyper jump use of that movie was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
What do they call it? The maneuver? They call it something. Don't they?
Yeah. The Holdo maneuver, I guess.
Holdo maneuver. Yeah.
That moment in the cinema where it just goes silent. It's just
silence. So cool.
I think that's the thing. Like, visually, he pushes it forward by also looking back at the influences that George Lucas had at the time. So he's looking back at the Akira Kurosawa stuff. He's looking back at the World War II dogfight stuff. He's looking back at these other things and going, okay, this is what inspired Star Wars originally. Let's take another look at it and go, what else can we bring forward and use in interesting ways? And also, like you say, it's setting out this idea of Star Wars doesn't just have to be about this one family. Like,
it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, Tim. I think you'll find.
Well, no, it turns out
two families.
Yes, exactly. It turns out it's about two families.
Depends on if you believe in the immaculate birth thing by Palpatine theory. And I guess technically that's one because he's sort of Anakin's dad, maybe.
I do
I hate
like
Star Wars sometimes.
That's the thing. I do love Star Wars, but I also hate it just as much.
Oh, me too, mate. Yeah,
but
that's just being a Star Wars fan in the 21st century.
With Last Jedi, I think he took brave steps, like killing the baddie without any explanation of who the baddie is.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's so brave.
Bold choice.
I love,
and they couldn't follow it up. We've got a clone of Palpatine now.
I know the casino scene isn't generally that well favoured, but I really like that story point.
It's got Justin Theroux in it. It's good.
No, but I really like the towards the end of that one, the sequence where you get the kind of that little conversation where he says, who do the rebels buy their weapons off? Who do the Imperials buy their weapons off? It's like, who makes money in a war?
Yeah.
And I love that. I thought that was just like, yes,
doesn't make a difference to me. War is war. I will sell weapons to both of you. It's like, so good.
I love that, and I also love the battle on Crate because I just think it's one of the most visually arresting battles in the whole franchise.
The salt,
the red salt.
Oh god.
Also,
brushing the dust off his shoulder.
But that's a great meme because the guy who he's like salt. Like it's like an almost little dig at the salty Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's Gareth Edwards who directed Rogue One.
Yes.
Who did the little salt.
Yeah.
Nice. And then Knives Out, which is so good.
So good.
So theatrical. I love Daniel Craig doing stupid southern accents. It was great in Logan Lucky.
Believe me, mate, I have to do this podcast with them. It's just it's nice to have people I can understand on the pod for a change.
Wow. Come on.
But yeah, like such a kind of throwback to kind of old school murder mystery Agatha Christie stuff.
Yes.
But working so well. Like, what an ensemble of like actors.
Yeah.
Chris Evans just having the time of his life, not being Captain
He
America.
loves being an actor, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He loves being an actor, that man. He's one of the stars. You know, he's never going to moan at, we've got you another script. He's like, yay!
you can tell that he was just like kind of letting it all go after playing the good guy, Captain America.
Yeah.
He can't swear, you know, the whole language thing, and then all of a sudden he's got into a film where he's just like, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit.
I reckon he added a few extra just to be like, I can finally say this on camera. Like,
when that first trailer came out and it was just him just being a huge arsehole to everyone, I was just like, oh, this is going to be good. Ryan Johnson, I think he's just got such like quite a diverse, you know, obviously likes genre stuff, has dealt with kind of sci-fi and crime and that kind of stuff. So but within that, he's managed to get quite a diverse spread within 5 films. Obviously,
you just got me thinking. So Knives Out 2 is obviously going to be the first sequel that he's kind of doing of his own movies. So it'd be interesting to see if he can capture that same. Well, brilliant.
I reckon he'll pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be interesting to see whether it works as a sequel. It's got another amazing cast lined up.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I think that film, Knives Out, just so clever in the way it's structured. Of kind of how it keeps turning on what the audience knows, and you think you've got a third of the way through, and you think you're in a traditional murder mystery, and you're like, okay, well, we'll get to the end and find out the murderer. Oh no, we found that out a third of the way through, and then you get another.
I thought I solved it about 4 times and still was like.
And so yeah, I'm really interested to see what Knives Out 2 ends up being like, and then what he goes on to do after that. It
might just
Knives
be
Out
like
3, apparently.
Well,
the Adventures of Benoit Blanc. Yeah, it's going to be the new Poirot, basically, and just be him solving a different case each time. Which
I love
fine.
Poirot anyway. So
I mean, I would love that, but I'd be a little bit disappointed because I want him to keep going on and pushing and trying different stuff, and
I want to see him do a horror.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I think that would be really good. I think he's got a real skill for kind of world building in an interesting way.
He can also it subverts expectation as well, and it's perfect for horror.
Yeah,
maybe even slasher, like thinking like Scream, something like that.
Ryan Johnson does Scream 6. Can you imagine?
But yeah, I feel...
And the kill Ghostface. How dare he? So brave.
Yeah, I feel like
anyone can be Ghostface, it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knew?
I feel like you could list kind of any genre and I'd sort of say, oh yeah, I'd like to see him tackle that. So yeah, I think only going to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, that's an incredible pick. And now, the last man standing, Stig. What are you bringing to the table, sir?
My choice is the youngest man to ever win a Best Director award, Oscar.
Ah.
And that is Damien Chazelle.
Nice.
I admit I haven't seen his first film, but the 3 films I have seen after that, I think are all absolutely incredible. He started his first feature-length film in 2009 with Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench. I don't know, has anyone else seen that?
No,
but I know of it.
No. So I need to see that at some point just to kind of catch up and see where he started. But the first film I did see that he directed was Whiplash.
Whiplash is so good.
Yeah.
Whiplash is the story of a young promising drummer who kind of enrolls at a cutthroat music school, and the lead is played by Miles Teller, and the J.K. Simmons is the orchestra conductor, and he is a bastard of a man.
Isn't he just
like
he's basically J. Jonah Jameson?
Oh, it's worse.
Oh, he's way worse.
Much worse.
He's like one of the best cinematic villains of the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%.
You watch that film and you're hearing them play music. It's like, this is really cool. This is kind of, and it just stops him. It's just like, and he's somehow noticing someone within the orchestra playing something wrong, and he just goes ballistic at them. And I don't know how many. I'm sure there's a drinking game where he says "not my tempo," and that probably would get you absolutely wasted. But just the way that he, is it Chazelle? Is that how I pronounce it? I don't want to.
Yeah, Chazelle.
Yeah.
The way that he films these characters, I feel like everything's kind of up and close and personal with them. It kind of draws you into their stories, and
he's not scared to point the camera directly into the face, is it?
No.
Yeah, I think that comes from his background in musical stuff.
Yeah,
right?
he's like,
because I know this is something people have talked about when you adapt a musical onto the big screen, and you're able to do something different than just having it on the stage. You can have close-ups. You can suddenly have these really intimate moments be inches from the characters' faces, and Whiplash is so
there's the scenes
and
where
intense and stuff
he's
like
drumming,
that.
and you can see the calluses and the blisters on
exactly,
and there's this blood splattering, and it's so visceral.
Do you want to know what?
As by comparison to the way Tom Hooper does it.
Oh god!
Yes.
Don't get me started on Tom Hooper.
You said one of Jack's trigger words.
I'm going to go Winter Soldier on his ass and just trigger him with him. Yeah.
Interesting fact that Miles Teller actually learned how to play the drums for this role.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he still does it? Because I would, if I would learn that skill, because he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think so, but I don't know if it...
And jazz drumming's like one of the hardest principles of drumming, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
But to say this is kind of breakout film, this film was nominated for 5 Oscars and won 3.
That's
all
enough.
right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good day at the office.
And then his next film is an even better day at the office, which is
Yes.
La La Land, which is nominated for 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Cultural
12,
phenomenon.
14 Oscars,
Fucking hell.
including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 winners, which he himself
destroyed,
won
didn't
in
it?
directing.
It destroyed.
And I love La La Land. I think it's
I
a
do.
brilliant film. I think it looks absolutely stunning. I'm just going to, unfortunately, listeners
What
won't
you
get to
say?
see
I'm
this.
just going to sing
No,
now.
I'm just going to send you a link in the chat there if you
Please
want to have a
do.
look at that picture and look at the color tones and the shots that he uses throughout La La Land. It's absolutely
Oh,
stunning.
wow.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
Biggie, add this one to my list of ones I haven't seen yet.
You can add it to mine. I haven't seen it either.
What?
Right, put it this way: Kurt, one of our regular listeners, Kurt Lewin, he hates musicals but absolutely loves this film.
And Whiplash is his favourite film of
Yeah.
all time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that's kind of
See, I really like musicals, and I don't particularly like La La Land.
See, I love musicals, but La La Land, I was so like hesitant. I'm like, I'm not seeing this. Oh, no, I'm not asked. And then it's like how I was with The Greatest Showman. I didn't want to like it, but then when you watch it again, you're like this.
No, I didn't.
You're dancing and
The Greatest
singing.
Showman's great musically. The film
Yes.
itself is so.
It's not an accurate representation
Oh, no,
of
of
P.T.
course not.
Barnum or anything like that.
Of course,
Here he
course
is
not.
killing elephants, kids. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, God.
No. But yeah, this I did love La La Land. I think it gets me from the very beginning with the singing and dancing on the highway, and it's kind of got me back into musicals. The only kind of other musicals that I watched over the last 10 or so years, I watched Sweeney Todd, which was terrible.
You've seen Tick Tick Boom now, haven't you, as well? Which I adored.
Tick, Tick, Boom's great.
Hang on,
It's my favourite film of last year.
we'll get there. Hold your horses. But yeah, outside of Disney's, I'd kind of gone off musicals, but this kind of reignited a love of seeing musicals, and I've watched so many since and kind of really love them. And I think he's had a massive influence on the musical scene because of this film.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, it won a lot of awards and it was nominated for a lot because Hollywood loves stories of Hollywood. So
Yeah, they do.
that kind of helps. But I just think that it itself is a great film. The ending is about nearly 10 minutes long. And I absolutely love it, from just the moment she sees him in the bar and then everything that follows all the way to the end. It's just one continuous, joyous moment. And I absolutely was blown away by the ending of that film. And yeah, I was just looking at the list of musicals to come out since then. And some of these probably would have come out because they are sequels as well. But so we had La La Land, and then The Greatest Showman became a big hit. You also had Pitch Perfect 3, but I guess that was probably a sequel. So they probably would have done that anyway. And the Apocalypse is another one I saw, which I really enjoyed. And you had another Mary Poppins, another Mamma Mia. A Star is Born, not ish kind of a musical.
It's not really. It's a biopic, that
Yeah.
one kind of thing, isn't it?
And then recently there's been, like say, Tick Tick Boom, Annette, In the Heights. Spielberg got to do West Side Story. And I feel like a lot of these films probably got greenlit because of the success of La La Land. Because they saw a musical which not only was loved by the Academy, but was kind of loved across the board, and a lot of the general public really liked it as well. So I feel like the industry maybe have looked at that and gone, hang on, like, people like musicals, let's do more of them.
The fact that it was it wasn't based on a stage show and it wasn't a Disney film, like original film musicals are incredibly rare nowadays.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely don't think you would have got The Greatest Showman without the existence of La La Land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure you
Agreed.
might have got West Side Story. I know Spielberg's attached to it, but it hasn't obviously done very well at the box office because...
The original one obviously was a smash, wasn't it? But that's 40, 50 years ago.
But again, yeah, like Tick Tick Boom's got a lot of goodwill towards it because it's a really good film. And then Hamilton's obviously helped with musicals.
Yeah. especially contemporary.
Yeah, I know that's more like that was already a big hit on Broadway and around the world, regardless. But I think it's
Cats did well, didn't it, guys?
Don't get me started.
That's the other trigger word.
Tom
Same
Hooper and
director.
Cats there. That's the same.
Tom
fucking-
Hooper directs the sequel. Fleas.
But I just think
Fucking
that as a director, he just goes from strength to strength, and his films just keep getting nominated. I mean, I know the Oscars aren't really the barometer to say, oh, this is good or this isn't good, but they are up there with what's seen around the world as a high accolade, and he just keeps getting nominated and winning them. Like his films.
Did he have something to do with First Man as well? He didn't direct it.
Yeah,
did he direct
directed
that?
First
Yeah,
Man.
he directed it. Yeah,
And First Man,
Great.
again, I love First Man because it obviously tells the story of the first man on the moon. But
Yeah.
what I loved about it more was it wasn't just kind of some let's blow smoke up Neil Armstrong's butt and
It wasn't like Apollo 13 or
present him
anything
as like
that,
some
was it?
like like it's just a Captain America kind of person who went to the moon and did that. It really got into his struggles and his family life and
Neglect.
his trepidations about going on this mission and going on to the moon and the moon landing. You should go watch the moon landing again if you've seen this film, because it is a stunning piece of work. It's about 5 minutes
it
long.
was directed by Stanley Kubrick, right?
Stanley Kubrick's best film.
In this film, the moon landing again gets you so everything is shot so close and personal. So the camera is zoomed right in the guy's faces. It is right in on all the inside of the the spaceship and rocket spaceship, whatever.
Lunar lander.
And
Cock
all
rocket.
the
Cock rocket.
kind of the switches and the dials and everything, and it's all shaky cam and everything, but the music overlaid over the top of that is beautiful. And I'm just looking forward to everything that this guy does going forward. He's got his new film. God, sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say he's got one coming out this year now, hasn't he? Babylon.
Yes.
What's this one about? Little synopsis.
Plot unknown. Rumored to be set in period Hollywood. So
another Oscar one.
starring Tobey Maguire, Olivia Wilde, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Eric Roberts.
That's got Oscar written
Samara
all over it.
Weaving. Anyone else? Big names in there.
Any by chance happening to release it around like November time?
It's scheduled for December release, funnily enough.
Oh, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
There we go.
I wonder why.
But yeah,
Oscar
I'm
bait.
really looking forward to seeing what he does. And he's got a love for jazz music, kind of, you would say. And I think he just,
Nice.
I think his use of music throughout his films is really well done as well. So I actually might go back and watch his films.
He seems like a stand-up guy as well.
Yeah,
Like he's only a young little thing, isn't he?
yeah, he's a year older than me. And
He's very young.
look at everything.
Very young.
Look at everything he's achieved.
Yeah, you've achieved. Look at all your leather-bound books behind you, mate. You know what I mean?
Very important.
Yes, but no, I'm like you, Jack.
Generally, it is impressive to have, he's 37, like he's under 40.
Yeah.
To have such a huge impact and win multiple Oscars. Even First Man, he won a Best Original Score as well. Like obviously, he didn't do the music necessarily, but like it's still winning Oscars basically every single time you make a film in your 30s is pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, it's great. Like I was going to say, I'm a bit like you, where I don't tend to watch a lot of things again because I've got such a massive watch list that I want to kind of get through.
Whiplash is worth it.
Yeah, I want to try to get through all the films that I haven't seen.
Yep.
But just talking about them now, I'm just thinking I might actually just go back and watch those 3 films.
Yeah, I literally just thought, like, I should rewatch La La Land as you were saying. That. Shit.
Yeah.
Doing it again.
It is good, honestly, mate. I know you say you weren't that into it, but La La Land.
No,
I mean, it forgets it's a
proper
musical halfway through, but
Yeah, it does. There's no music for a while.
I think that was my I was lukewarm on it. I was expecting it to be more of a musical because everyone was going on with like, it's it's a return to the great Hollywood musicals, and I was like, kind of is. But I think like visually, he's just so. I mean, like the pictures you shared, like the kind of the way he puts frames together, like the motion, his control over motion in his films is so amazing. Like the shot in La La Land of the person falling into the pool, it's like amazing, like amazing filmmaking. So I think like as a director, he's still, even when it's a film that I don't connect with as much, I can still see like how good he is as a director.
Yeah.
I was just looking as well, actually. He did win Best Original Song for City of Stars, so we talk about the music from that film. I don't think that was the best song that year, to be honest.
No.
Should have gone to Moana with How Far I'll Go. That is a better song.
That's always played
a
in my
better song than
house.
City of Stars. But, again...
My daughter adores that.
I just talked about Encanto last week, saying that I didn't think it had memorable music. It's gone to number 1 this week.
Number 1, yeah.
No, it's the music in it. It's been non-stop in my house, that music.
Yeah, Encanto was really good.
Yeah.
But yes, excellent. Thank you all very much for that. But we have a bulging sack of listener feedback, haven't we, Gadget?
Evidently so. This hit for a few people, actually. Sergeant Story's written in saying, I shall provide no context for these names. You may look them up prior to or during the show if you like, or not as you choose.
Cheated.
Just read them out and be done if you'd like. He's very commanding these days, the Sergeant.
It's a sergeant, make sense.
Yeah.
So, 10 names. Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
On my list.
Technically 11 names, because this is Benny and Josh Safdie.
Yeah.
They count as one.
So if you count Josh directed something on his own first,
Oh, yeah.
then it's 6, and he doesn't. And they don't. As a pair, they have directed 5. If you include Josh's directorial debut,
him out.
it's 6. I checked. I'm the research guy on our show. I'm the research guy on this show too.
Yeah, we don't research. We don't do homework. Chloe Zhao. Is it Zhao?
Yeah. Director of Eternals, obviously, and many other things.
We've discussed that ad nauseum as well, haven't we? In the Eternals.
Damien Chazelle, Martin McDonough, Barry Jenkins.
Barry Jenkins.
Yep.
Incredible.
Robert Eggers.
My boy.
Greta Gerwig.
Gerwig. Yeah.
Gerwig. Which is what he's written here.
He actually put Greta Getting, and I changed it to Gerwig. I forgot to. I changed it wrong earlier.
Ari Aster and Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele, yeah.
He's
Speaking of people who've done amazing horror
director.
movies, yeah.
Although I'm going to call him out that he cheated, because he got that from a list what I was looking at.
So you didn't just look. Oh, never mind. That's
didn't
what
just
Google's
pull it
for,
from your
guys. Yeah.
Smashes Clear has said, evening, 3 directors spring to mind. 2 are recent horror directors who made a significant impact with very few films. Jordan Peele has made 2 instant classics with Get Out and Us.
Yep.
Both are well-paced and have great tension, but also weave in social commentary. Meanwhile, Ari Aster does a great line in creeping dread and unsettling weirdness. I love both Hereditary and Midsommar. The opening sequence of Midsommar has burned into my brain. And then he goes on to finish off with Martin McDonough, has been around much longer than any of my other 2 examples, but directs films very infrequently. He also works as a playwright, but insists that those works are different and resists calls for his work to be translated to the screen. His play Pillow Man is incredible, and it's a real shame it won't be made into a film to reach a much wider audience.
Nice. We've got cultured listeners, haven't we?
Oh, right. Wow, yeah.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation, guys.
We've talked about that before, don't worry.
Angry Kurt is voting for Martin McDonough as well. He says, I must be honest and say my actual choice is Damien Chazelle, but I've waxed lyrical about his films on this podcast before.
Yes.
I think McDonough has done 5 films, of which all are at least as good, but there are only 2 which I think are stone cold bangers, with In Bruges and 3 Billboards. Especially In Bruges, which is one film I had to study for media studies at A level.
Oh,
that makes me
lucky
feel
little
so
thing.
fucking old.
It makes me feel old, but it makes me feel old, but that's lucky to have picked that film. When I did film at school, it was Titanic. And I hate that film.
He says, he goes on to finish off, it's my favourite Colin Farrell performance outside of his recent performance in The North Waters, and Brendan Gleeson is fantastic too.
He always is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And last up, Ray's emailed in one that I hadn't considered. He says, hi, Modern Escapism. I'm naming Spike Jonze for this week's topic.
He was my backup pick.
Yeah, he's on my list. Yeah.
What the hell?
Though he wrote and produced multiple Jackass films, quote unquote, as he says, plus some TV documentaries, Spike Jonze technically only directed 4 movies.
Yep.
Being John Malkovich, Adaption, Where the Wild Things Are, and my personal favourite sci-fi story, Her. These movies, although seem completely unrelated theme-wise at first glance, have mundane starts, all have their plots descend into wackiness that defies expectations and reasoning, which I had a lot of fun watching. On top of that, the way he depicts loneliness and the desire for recognition always leaves me pondering after the movie's finished. As for impact, Spike Jonze never quite rocked the world with his limited creations, but for me it's assuring to know no matter how industrialized the movie industry is to become, there is always room for weirdos like this man, the characters of his films and the fans of those films to find adventure and happiness.
And probably the only director that can skateboard.
Probably, yeah.
He did quite a few of the Beastie Boys videos as well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He's not scared to be an actor either, is he, Spike Jonze? He doesn't. He's not a leading man, but he pops up in a few.
He's rumoured to be in Knives Out too, I believe.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right.
The concept for
He's very distinct looking.
being John Malkovich, just
it's fabulous.
It's mind blowing.
such a funny movie, man. I love it when he goes into himself. I mean, it's the weirdest thing you'll ever see, possibly, but it's so well done.
The thing I've always wanted to know about that film is, did he write it as being John Malkovich, or did he write it as being, and then he had to find an actor to fill that hole?
Hey, yeah, he could have been being Nick Cage or something like that, couldn't
Keanu Reeves.
I think that being Nick Cage would have worked.
Yeah.
He's starring in a film that he plays himself, isn't he?
Oh,
Sue?
that trailer for that movie looks incredible.
Yeah.
I really want
The
to
Nick
see
Cage
that.
film with what's his name? Boba
Pedro
Fett's
Pascal.
friend. Yeah, that's him. Boba Fett's friend.
But yeah, that's all the
her.
correspondence we had this week.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. And usually now, this is where Candy will just do the not the honourable mention, sorry, the socials. But who's going to take on the mantle this week?
I'll do
I'll
it.
do it if you want.
Stig. Oh, it's up to you guys. You can argue for it if you want.
No, seeing as though you didn't do it on Punk's podcast. Go on.
Go
Make
biggie,
up for
go.
it.
So, if you go to modernescapism.co.uk, you'll find all the links to our socials, contact details, and everything else, including our new merchandise shop. If you'd like to watch gaming streams, come and watch us at twitch.tv/modernescapism. Our merch currently being advertised in front of us, but you can't see it, so that's a bit weird.
Looks like I work at McDonald's, doesn't it? Got fries with
So
that.
I've got a vest on at the moment. There's this top.
Nice. Don't take your...
I'm wearing underwear. Mondays, it's me. I'm back this Monday, but obviously you're listening to this on Thursday, so time. But I will be back with my piggies dies as I get frustrated playing Dark Souls still.
You've been playing this game for a year.
I know. For the rest of us, just keep an eye on our Twitch or Twitter accounts, and you'll be notified when any of us are online.
If.
I think that's it, isn't it?
The 5-star
We're
reviews.
going to have a little sneak peek of what we're doing.
5-star reviews.
Oh, yeah, the review.
Oh, that's at the end, because we've got next week, haven't we? Our theme for next week.
The 5-star review.
I know it's there, but I'm going to do it after the bit we talk about what we're doing next
Don't
week.
shout at me.
Which we're doing the
Sweet.
best of British
Cinema.
films, was it?
Yeah. It's a Stig episode.
It's a sticky one.
Yeah.
Best of British movies.
Mm.
And if you want to support us non-financially, then please just leave us a 5-star review on all places that you can do it. Spotify, do it now, Apple, you name it. Just make sure it's always 1 star above the Sequelisers.
Wow.
You can't do 6 stars, mate. We're a 5-star podcast.
Ooh. Very cool.
We have one-star review, don't we, from some kind of randomer saying, I tried it, it wasn't for me.
It's not my cup of tea.
We-
1
we-
star. It's like,
We have some
Yeah.
mental ones on iTunes or whatever Apple podcast when it was
Yeah.
iTunes back in the day. But yeah, so far the Spotify ones have just been. I
Yeah.
think that's just a star rating and no commentary, right? But
Yeah, it
Good.
is,
you're not a
yeah.
real podcast
Exactly what
unless
it
you've
should
got
be.
like a 1-star crappy reviews.
Yeah.
let me see if I can
exactly.
find some for the Patreon bonus stuff.
Yeah,
'cause it is
excellent.
fucking ridiculous.
Speaking of which, for you type people,
Well,
we're
hang,
going
well, no,
to...
hang on, Noodles. Before we go, we need to find out. We need to point our listeners towards the Sequelisers.
Yes.
I was going to.
So-
Don't worry, I was going to.
No, you were about to end the show.
No, I weren't. No, I weren't. I was
you
going to say...
were winding up for your closing
you
down spiel
tight
where you call the
people-
listeners tight.
No, for you type people, we're going to go around the back in a second. First,
Well served.
but first, I'm going to allow the Sequelisers to plug away. Plug. Go, boys, go.
Similar to you guys, you can go to sequelisers.com and find all the links to all of our
They got
social
a
stuff.
.com.
We've got a .com, yeah, because we made up a word. So, that's how you get the .com, boys.
Yeah,
You should
spell
have,
checker does not like it.
if you had an escapism with a K, Mortal Kombat style, you might have gotten away with it, but no. But yeah, Sequelisers.com, that's links to all of our social media. All of the podcast platforms are on our live streams, including the one with lovely Gadget, who's joining us this Saturday. And yeah, our Discord as well, our Patreon, our merch shop. You can get all the stuff there on
I've just joined the
Sequelisers.com.
Discord. I'm in there.
Oh, yeah. Did they accepted you in? Nice.
Fools.
Yeah,
We've got very low
welcoming
standards.
How dare you, Tim? How dare you?
Don't forget he called you pricks earlier.
Exactly.
No one denied it.
So yeah, Sequelisers.com to find us as a podcast. I'm JLW Chambers on all social media. Tim is trivia_lad on Twitter if you want to follow us and have a go at us for our director choices or something offensive that we've said on this show. Who knows?
Who
Can't be
knows?
more
I
offensive
mean,
than anything Oodles ever says, so you're all right.
I've been good tonight. I've been in podcast mode tonight. I've been on other podcasts today as well. Just podcasts.
But I am generally looking forward to going through your back catalogue of movies that obviously mean something to me.
Even though that was a compliment, it sounded a bit seedy. You said,
Didn't it just? Yeah.
It did a little bit.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to go through your back catalogue.
Big tear it apart.
Well, you put that tone on. I didn't have that tone at all.
I wasn't alone in thinking that.
Biggie, as a starting point, I highly recommend their season 6 opener, which is Prometheus.
I
that's a
fucking
banger.
hate that movie.
I was so angry at the end of that episode because I really want your guys' version of Prometheus.
That's all Tim. That's all Tim.
Do you know the first one I listened to of yours was the Zombieland one? Because I was just looking through it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
I love Zombieland, but Zombieland 2 fell off a
Big
cliff.
pile of shit. Yeah.
And you made it tons better.
Thank you.
Came out of
I had Stone Cold
Prometheus,
Steve Austin.
so
What more could you want?
exactly. But I have caught up on a lot of the stuff. I haven't gone all the way back because I don't want you to start saying, "Oh God, I can't wait for like a PS4 to come out." Or however long you've been doing it.
You should go back to the first season because their format was completely different.
Yeah.
It was
So
fun
the
for a start.
first 2 seasons, we don't even have Tim yet. And it's a completely different show. The audio quality is a big bag of shit.
Is it worse, Tim?
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's completely different. So the format we've had now started in season 5. So
Yeah.
episode 1 of season 5, which is our Dark Knight Rises episode,
Yes.
is kind of the kickoff of this format that we've had since then.
Phase 4.
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it.
exactly. That's
Are
our
you-
phase 4.
Are you able
exactly.
to say your favourites, just out of curiosity, of your own?
They love
personal-
all their children, surely.
My one is probably Dark Knight Rises. I fixed that. That's my personal fix because I've been wanting to fix that film since I saw it in the cinema.
It needs it.
And I
It
go
needs
on
it.
a huge fucking rant on that episode about how
I'll
like
definitely check that one out.
I've been waiting 8 years for this shit. I am so ready to fix this fucking movie.
Angry Jack is the best Jack
Yeah.
incident.
Angry Jack is a regular occurrence on Sequelisers because we talk about bad sequels.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim?
I really enjoyed doing Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
It's so good.
Yeah, turning that.
It's really long, that
It's
episode.
one of our longest. Yeah, I mean, I turned it into a trilogy, so that's
You went deep into the lore as well.
Yeah.
Like you understand Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
One of the funny things was we were just going, is that in the law? Yep, that's in the law.
Yeah.
Like, it sounded
the recurring
ridiculous.
joke is
yeah.
it was like blah 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 blah. We both paused, turned to
Yeah.
Tim. Is that a Mortal Kombat thing? Is that in the law? Yeah, that's in the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a trip to the flesh pits. Is that from the law? Yeah, that's from the law.
And so, dear listeners, you tight ones especially, we're going to continue this kind of discussion past the paywall, round the back. But for everyone else, please listen to Sequelisers and please continue to listen to us. Good night.
Cock rocket!